Oh shit. All this. Ah. Yo, what's up, Smell? It's not letting you comment? The fuck? What's happening? Wait, is it doing the thing again? Let me see. Is that just in general or just on my shit? Okay, I don't think it's on my stuff. Yeah, the last stream I did got copyrighted. I don't know why. Oh, you know what it was actually? Dude, it was the segment with Fulton Sheen. Fulton, yeah, that I showed a like minute-long clip. The venerable Fulton Sheen talking about conspiracy theorists, and that got copyrighted. So I don't know why. Sense some motion. Yeah. So anyway, welcome everyone. Been a minute, but we're here, and we're gonna see what Trump has to say in 18 minutes. Are we going to war with Venezuela? What's the live chat saying? The fucking bruh. Shit. Anyway, how are you guys doing today? How are you guys? You guys have a good day? Man, I guess since this is gonna take a little bit, right? We've 15 minutes to go. We could just take a look at the ongoing Candace saga. Dude, it's been delicious. It's been. This bitch is so stupid, man. Let's just watch this clip.
Why would he say
Right,
that?
so
Why was he so
look,
involved as somebody who's
Candace,
fighting
I
a
want to get
97,000 front war?
Candace, I want to get to the reality of what you're actually saying. So when you say
Yes.
that somebody at Turning Point USA, Charlie's company, was complicit in his murder, who?
Oh, you're sick? Sorry to hear that, Smeller. Feel better. Drink some OJ.
Who was?
Magnesium, all that stuff.
I believe that there were multiple people at Turning Point who are, as I have said many times, my exact words are, they are engaged in a cover-up of what happened to Charlie on that day.
No, but who was involved in his murder?
I didn't say that they murdered Charlie.
You said that people at Turning Point were complicit in his murder.
No, my exact sentence that I said was that there were people at Turning Point who are engaged in a cover-up.
No, you didn't.
I believe
Sorry,
that
you didn't.
thoroughly.
The two are very related. Engaged in the cover-up. What do they have to gain from covering it up? Exactly. Oh, they didn't murder Charlie Kirk. So what? It's a separate conspiracy theory now? So on the one hand, Charlie Kirk was murdered by Egypt, the Frankists, Brigitte Macron's ballsack, and Israel. But this is a completely different. Am I muted? Is this muted? Hello?
Candice, you didn't say that. You said literally.
I did say that.
They were,
My entire
you said
show.
there were people at Turning Point.
Wait, I'm not muted. Okay, yeah, you can hear me. Okay, Smelly, I think you muted. I think you muted your shit. Pull up the stream on your phone and look. What? Emgo can hear. Emgo can hear me, right? You can hear me. Yeah, I can hear it. I can hear myself. Not muted. Yeah. You hear that? I can hear myself. That's me. Not muted. Yeah. Anyway. Bro, yeah, Smelly. I think it's something on your end, dude. Did you mute your browser? You probably can't hear me. Sheesh. Maybe it's your ears. Maybe your ears turned off. Anyway. Bro, the gaslighting is insane. It's like saying like, what is their claim exactly? So were they involved in the murder? Oh, they're only involved in the cover-up? Oh, I didn't rob the bank. I was just a getaway driver. I didn't do the robbing. It's like, what exactly is Candace even saying here? Oh, thanks. Yeah, thanks for reminding me. Thanks for reminding me, Emgo. Thanks for that. Yeah. Appreciate it. I keep saying subscribers only. The fuck? Here said subs. What? Well, my shit is on public. I don't even think, can I even make, is that even an option for me to make it subs only? I don't even think I have that option. What's going on here? If you're not sub, you can't comment? What? It's fixed now, so we're chilling? Okay. Good to know, but I got it. I have it set to anyone can comment. What the fuck is going on, YouTube? Yeah. It's fine. Okay. Well, if it fucks up again, let me know. How much time do we have? 12 minutes? Okay. All right.
Sit in
No.
his murder.
Okay.
That's what you said.
When you and I were discussing, that's why I said, let's go back. I was applying the logic of a conspiracy to JFK. I said, okay, if JFK, you have people that are complicit. Of course,
Let's
if you
forget
apply that
JFK.
logic, if there
Let's
is a
forget
conspiracy,
JFK.
there's going to be multiple people that are going to be complicit by the time, in order for a large stage murder to
But
happen.
you specifically
so
said, you didn't say
of
complicit
JFK.
in a cover-up. You said complicit in the murder. Because I said who at Turning Point was involved
clarify for you.
in his murder. And
Let
you
me
said,
clarify for you. Okay, you can keep saying what I said, or you can listen to what I am saying.
Okay.
When I was using the analogy of JFK and we were connecting it, I was basically pushing back on you because you were suggesting that, you know, all of these people being involved would be crazy. So I was applying the analogy
I said,
of what happened to
know.
JFK. Well, you actually, if you go back and listen,
said, I don't know.
Suggesting that a
I
conspiracy.
said, you don't know
okay,
either. Your floating theories.
When we started talking about the
you're
JFK
perfectly
thing,
entitled. Listen, let me make it clear.
Piers, I really think you're not holding on to your thoughts
Candace,
here correctly.
let me spell out my thought very clearly.
When we started talking about JFK, the implication that you were making was that it was crazy to suggest that multiple people could have been involved at different levels.
Candace.
I was then connecting the dots and saying that in order for the JFK assassination to happen, there had to have been tons of people that were complicit,
I understand.
right?
I heard what you said.
Maybe you're the person who takes the cameras down. Maybe you're the person that told him to drive that day. Maybe you're LBJ. So they're not all complicit in the murder, but they're all at different varying stages involved in the cover-up.
Okay.
Right?
All of that aside, whatever. Present the evidence. Whatever. Yappersville. This is just Yappersville. First of all, what the fuck does JFK have to do with anything? If like, just present the evidence. Just let the evidence do the talking. There's a lot of talking. None of it is coming from the evidence itself. That's literally all you have to do is just present your evidence, then make the case. But thus far, there has been none of that. It's been a lot of, hey, trust me. Hey, trust me. I presented the evidence in confidence, but trust me, it's there. Bitch, shit or get off the pot. Yeah, the way she she just keeps backtracking. Backstocks? I don't know what that means. She needs a militant fro. She needs a muzzle. Can't speak. Yeah. Who's Piers to speak over this black? You know, when a black woman is talking, it's time to sit down and listen, right? What does the fake Egyptian plane have to do with anything? Apparently, that got debunked too. Do I have that? Did I have that saved? Did I add that to my? Which I never believed to begin with, but I saw that Alex Jones weighed in on it and shit all over theory. What the fuck? Let me see. I don't think I saved it. Because Candace made the claim that, an Egyptian plane was stalking Erica Kirk for like a year or whatever. Well, I don't want to derail the whole segment here. Oh, that's not the video. It's a random meme. Whatever, I'll find it in a minute, but... Anyway.
So that's what a grand conspiracy actually is.
Okay.
And I do believe, so you don't have to go back and we don't have to go through it. I'm telling you what I think about Turning Point. You know, I am very known for being honest about what I believe. You're not I'm not exactly a person that you gotta pull teeth on.
Sure.
I believe that there are people at Turning Point who are engaged in covering up what happened on that day.
But were any of them engaged in the planning of the murder of Charlie Kirk?
I wouldn't know how it was planned. Absolutely, I can't make that. I cannot confidently make that statement. I can say confidently.
Yeah, the pharaohs send their regards. Did they even check? Imagine the gun. It had hieroglyphs engraved in the side of it. Did they even check for or hieroglyphs, or Egyptian hieroglyphs? I don't think so. The stupid goy. They never even suspected Egypt. Of course. Of course. It's obvious. The plane isn't important. It's Candace throwing out all these balls into the court. Dude, it's like everything. None of it is pertinent, man. It's all grasping at straws. But that's how, you know, that's how these conspiracy theorists think.
I know
Like, there are people who genuinely believe like everything is a conspiracy because they can't parse information. They deal in the realm of possibility and not really probability or plausibility. For example, I gave this case earlier as an example, but like I'll just give a really like egregious example. It's like, let's say World War II. There's overwhelming evidence that World War II happened, right? You've got eyewitness testimony, footage, written testimony, the records, the forensics, millions of dead of casualties and reports on those casualties. I think most people would agree, yeah, World War II happened. Is it possible it didn't happen? Sure. It's probably like 0.0000001%. Not that it's a probability, but the point is, anything is possible. Literally anything is possible. I know this might seem really like pedestrian to go back, but you have to go back to first principles thinking to sort of understand how a conspiracy theorist thinks. Literally anything you can think of is technically possible, but is it probable? Is it even plausible? Like, think about all of the things that would have to happen for somebody to gaslight the entire world into believing World War II happened if it didn't actually happen. Think about all of those things. The made-up reports, the footage would have had to have been faked. You know, where did the tens of millions of people go? So the idea that just because you can imagine something doesn't mean it's a likely explanation. And we're seeing a lot of very imaginative explanations for how Charlie Kirk died or by whom. But people don't weigh the evidence when they present their argument. They don't weigh the evidence and ask the very basic question, is this likely? Is this a likely explanation? Like, for instance, Ian Carroll came out with this new theory, and granted, I didn't watch his video, but it seems like the thrust of that video is speculation. Did Charlie Kirk actually get executed? Or sorry, not executed, electrocuted. It's like, okay, well, how does that fucking explain the big bullet hole in his neck? How does that explain the gunshot that everybody heard, the shooter on the roof? How does that explain Tyler Robinson? Is all of that fake? Is all of that part of the patsy? So is it possible Charlie Kirk was electrocuted instead of shot? Sure. But the evidence points overwhelmingly in the opposite direction, in a very different direction. I know this is very basic for a lot of people. This is really simple logic, but it just goes to show like how ridiculous these people are, how convoluted their thought process is, and really how sick Candace Owens is to take advantage of these vulnerable people who just got red pilled or aren't that intelligent. He's totally hijacked their trust and their sensibilities to peddle this nonsense, to make people fucking schizo. Now you got all these schizos who have no idea what to believe, no idea what to trust. Is this a good idea? Now they just don't trust anyone. Now they're believing in all kinds of random shit. Yo, what's up, SSB? So the plane isn't important. It's Tutankhamun, yeah. She just got tombed. She just got mummified. The mummies send their regards. Yo, YouTube is acting weird. Can't comment from my phone. It says to subscribe, but you're already What the fuck? Yeah, apparently, I guess everyone's just having issues. I don't know if it's YouTube. I don't think it's on my end. Yeah, I don't think it's on my end though. Could be wrong. Plot twist: George Farmer is the chairman of Turning Point UK. Therefore, George killed Charlie. This is an elaborate divorce filing. Yeah. Or her weird mega donor, Mormon mega donor, right? What is that guy's name? I forgot his name. Too many names. I've never been good with names. Also, Egyptian Empire ended with Cleopatra. Women in politics don't mix. I mean, dude, the end of the British Empire. Queen Elizabeth. You know, say what you will about royalty. I understand its tradition. It's largely a formality, but never forget that the death of the British Empire happened under her rule. You saw the greatest shrinking of power in the British Empire under Queen Elizabeth. And again, I know it's not really how British politics works. You know, it's really at this point more of a symbolic position than a one that holds real political power. Regardless, look at England now. Look at the British Isles now versus 100 years ago. So it's not. Yeah, it's not just. Yeah, it isn't just you, Smelly. I don't know what the fuck is going on. Maybe it's. I don't know. The Venezuela thing is wild. I think they want regime change or move Maduro, but crazy stuff. No, that's 100% what they want. They've said it several times. They want regime change. In fact, Trump should be going live any minute now. Any minute now. Speaker is a misogynist. You got me. Any minute now. Whoa, what is going on with the chat? Holy shit. Any minute now. What do you guys think? We're going. Oh, here we go.
Good evening, America. 11 months ago,
Actually, do we want the chat up?
mess, and I'm fixing it. When I took office, inflation was the worst in 48 years, and some would say in the history.
It was either going to be a declaration of war or just a like self-blazing yap fest. Let's see.
For millions and millions
Maybe both.
of Americans. This happened during a Democrat administration, and it's when we first began hearing the word affordability. Our border was open, and because of this, our country was being invaded by an army of 25 million people, many who came from prisons and jails, mental institutions, and insane asylums. They were drug dealers, gang members, and even 11,888 murderers, more than 50% of whom killed more than one person. This is what the
yeah, whatever. Biden administration. I'm going to talk over this. Yeah, I don't think we'll see a ground invasion, at least not a significant one.
Happen again. We had men playing in women's sports, transgender.
And we'll probably see limited like special forces, certain precision strike. But I don't. We're not going to see like
just absolutely forbidden.
You know, a large. I doubt we'll see a large like mechanized
and our country was left
ground
all
force.
over the world, but they're not laughing anymore. Over the past 11 months, we have brought more positive change to Washington than any administration in American
Dude,
history.
nobody believes that.
There's never been anything like it, and I think most would agree.
Literally
I
nobody
was
agrees with you,
elected
bro.
in a landslide,
Nobody
winning
agrees.
The popular vote and all 7 swing states and everything else with a mandate to take on a sick and corrupt system that really just took the wealth from people and crushed the dreams of the American people. For the last 4 years, the United States was ruled by politicians who fought only for insiders.
Now we must
illegal
make
aliens,
America even
career
greater
criminals,
by going to
corporate
war with
lobbyists, prisoners,
Venezuela.
terrorists, and above all, foreign nations,
Here we
which
go.
took advantage of us at levels never seen before.
Here's the
They
segue.
flooded your cities and towns with illegal aliens. They decimated your hard-earned savings. They indoctrinated your children with hate for America. They just released a level of violent felons that we had never seen to
Yeah.
prey on innocent.
And then, Smelly, and
They
then.
caused war. They caused mayhem. They caused a horrible situation all over the globe.
And then he said Hitler
Now,
was really
you have a
cool.
president who fights for
And then he
the
said we're
law-abiding,
changing
hardworking
the
people of
American
our
flag and we're
country,
putting a
the ones
swastika
who
on it
make this
instead of the
nation
stars.
one,
We're all going to
who
be little
make this
swastikas
nation
because Hitler
work.
was really cool.
And
Is that
after
what he's going to
just
say
1
next?
year, we have achieved more than anyone
Oh,
could
that'd be
imagine.
crazy.
Starting on day 1,
And then
I
we're going to
took
change the
immediate
military
action
uniforms
to
and we're going to
stop
make
the
them look like a
invasion
death
of our southern
uniform. That would be
border.
really
For
big.
the past 7 months, 0 illegal aliens have been allowed into our country, a feat which everyone said was absolutely impossible. Do you remember when Joe Biden said that he needed Congress to pass legislation to help close the border? He was always blaming Congress and everyone else. As it turned out, we didn't need legislation. We just needed a new president. We inherited the worst border anywhere in the world, and we quickly turned it into the strongest border in the history of our country.
Where's the
In other
wall,
words,
bro?
in a few short months, we went from worst to best. We're deporting criminals, restoring safety
No, we're
to
not.
our most
We're
dangerous
literally
cities.
not.
Just take a look at
This
Washington,
is-
D.C.
Come on,
It's
man.
at levels of safety that we've never seen before. And
Really?
They decimated the bloodthirsty foreign drug cartels. We did that all by ourselves with our people, and we're so proud of it because they were poisoning and
Yeah, it's all we've-
destroying our population. Drugs brought in by ocean.
Like,
and
I've
by
gathered
sea
you all here
are now
today
down
to talk about how great I am.
94%.
Oh,
We
okay.
have
All right.
broken the grip of sinister woke radicals in
This
our
could have been an
schools,
email.
and control over those schools is back now in the hands of our great and loving states where education belongs.
Yeah, there- like,
After
none of this
rebuilding
is
the
true,
United
man.
States military in my first term, and with the addition we are adding right now, we have the most powerful military anywhere in the world, and it's not even close. I've restored American strength, settled 8 wars in 10 months, destroyed the Iran nuclear threat, and ended the war in Gaza, bringing for the first time in 3,000 years peace to the Middle East, and secured the release of the hostages, both living and dead. Here at home, we're bringing our economy back from the brink of ruin. The last administration and their allies in Congress looted our treasury for trillions of dollars, driving up prices and everything at levels never seen before. I am bringing those high prices down and bringing them down very fast. Let's look at the facts. Under the Biden administration, car prices rose 22% and in many states 30% or more. Gasoline rose 30 to 50%. Hotel rates rose 37%. Airfares rose 31%. Now, under our leadership, they are all coming down and coming down fast. Democrat politicians also sent the cost of groceries soaring, but we are solving that too. The price of a Thanksgiving turkey was down
Interesting. Your Candace
33%
Erica show.
compared to the Biden last year. The price of eggs is down 82% since March, and everything else is falling rapidly. And it's not done yet, but boy, are we making progress. Nobody can believe what's going on. Here are just some of the efforts that we have underway. You will see in your wallets and bank accounts in the new year. After years of record-setting falling incomes, our policies are boosting
There's, like, record
take-home pay
unemployment,
at a
bro.
historic pace. Under Biden, Real wages plummeted by $3,000. Under Trump, the typical factory worker has seen a wage increase of $1,300. For construction workers, it's $1,800. For miners, we're bringing back clean, beautiful coal. It's $3,300. And for the first time in years, wages are rising much faster than inflation. Remember that. The wages, just look at it. Wages are going up much faster than inflation. How big is that? Very importantly, there are more people working today than at any time in American history, and 100% of
They
all
just
jobs created
they
since
just
I took
exceeded the
office
expected
have
number
been
of
in the private
unemployment
sector. Think of that.
recipients last month.
100% of all jobs have been in the private sector rather than government, which is the only way to make a country powerful and great. This historic trend will continue. Already, I've secured a record-breaking $18 trillion of investment into the United States, which means jobs, wage increases, growth, factory openings, and far greater national security. Much of this success has been accomplished by tariffs. My favorite word, tariffs, which for many decades have been used successfully by other countries against us, but not anymore. Companies know that
Lots
if
of
they build
coal,
in
huh?
America, there are no tariffs, and that's why they're coming home to the USA in record numbers. They're building factories and plants at levels we haven't seen, AI, automobiles. We're doing what nobody thought was even possible, not even remotely possible. There has never, frankly, been anything like it. 1 year ago,
Bro.
our country was dead. We were absolutely dead. Our country was ready to fail, totally failed. Now, we're the hottest
Dude.
country anywhere in the
Nope.
world. And that's said
What
by
the-
every single leader that I've spoken to over the last 5 months. Next
Yeah,
year,
and you
will
cue the
also
Indian
see
music.
the results of the largest tax cuts in American history
Ugh.
that were
Dude,
really
nobody
accomplished
believes this,
through
man.
our great, big, beautiful bill, perhaps the most sweeping legislation ever passed in Congress. We wrapped
We need 2
12
X for a
different
speech.
bills up into one beautiful
Unfortunately,
bill.
it's
That
live.
includes no tax on tips, no tax on overtime.
Vivek is
and
crashing
no
out. Why
tax
does he
on
crash out
Social
every
Security
Christmas?
for
He's
our
not Christian,
great
man.
seniors.
And he's just
Under
reminded of
these
that every
cuts,
Christmas
many
that he's
families will be
not
saving
American and he never will be.
$11,000 and $20,000 a year, and next spring is projected to be the largest tax refund season of all time. Because of tariffs, along with the just passed One Big Beautiful Bill, tonight I am also proud to announce that more than 1,450,000, think of this, 1,450,000 military service members will receive a special, we call Warrior Dividend before Christmas, a Warrior Dividend. In honor of our nation's founding in 1776, we are sending every soldier $1,776. Think of that. And the checks are
Wow.
already on the way. Nobody understood that one until about 30 minutes ago. We made a lot more money than anybody thought because of tariffs, and the bill helped us along. Nobody deserves it more than our military, and I say congratulations to everybody.
Solid
And by the
distant.
way, we
Shit.
now have record enlistment in our military, and last year we had among the worst recruitment numbers in our military's history. What a difference a year makes. In addition, I'm doing what no politician of either party has ever done, standing up to the special interest to dramatically reduce the price of prescription drugs. I negotiated directly with the drug companies and foreign nations, which were taking advantage of our country for many decades, to slash prices on drugs and pharmaceuticals by as much as 400, 500, and even 600%. In other words, your drug costs will be plummeting downward, and I used the threat of tariffs to get foreign countries who would never have done it to pay the cost of this giant dollar reduction. They stopped ripping us off, and it began as of 4 days ago. There has never been anything like this in the
Unquad is
history of
signing
our
up.
country. Drugs have only gone up, but now
He's on
they'll
the
be
front
going
line.
down by numbers never conceived possible. It's called Most Favored Nation, and no president has ever had the courage or ability to get this done until now.
Is this
The first of these unprecedented price reductions will be available starting in January through a new website, trumprx.gov. And these big price cuts will greatly reduce the cost of health care. I'm also taking on the gigantic health insurance companies that have gotten rich on billions of dollars of money that should go directly to the people. The money should go to the people. That's you. So they can buy their own health
Yeah,
insurance,
that's good rhetoric.
which will give far better benefits at much lower cost. It will be far.
It's a big part of the
better
problem with
health
healthcare in
insurance.
America
The
is
current
it's the insurance
Unaffordable Care Act was
companies
created
that
to
jack
make
up the
insurance
price.
companies rich. It
They're in
was
bed
bad
with
healthcare
the
at much too high a cost.
wow.
And you see that now in the
Hear what else
steep
he has to say.
increase in premiums being demanded by the Democrats, and they are demanding those increases, and it's their fault. It is not the Republicans' fault. It's the Democrats' fault. It's the Unaffordable Care Act, and everybody knew it. Again, I want the money to go directly to the people so you can buy your own health care. You'll get much better health care at a much lower price. The only losers will be insurance companies that have gotten rich, and the Democrat Party, which is totally controlled by those same insurance companies. They will not be happy, but that's okay with me because you, the people, are finally going to be getting great health care at a lower cost. Another major focus is the cost of energy.
Hypocrisy.
For years, the radical left Democrats exploited the green energy scam as an excuse to funnel many billions of dollars into their own massive slush funds as their energy restrictions drastically drove up prices, and they drove them up at record levels. Electricity costs surged 30 to 100% under Biden, and the typical family lost $5,000 to $10,000 in higher energy costs. Think of that, $5,000 to $10,000 you lost. On day one, I declared a national energy emergency. Gasoline is now under $2.50 a gallon in much of the country. In some states, it, by the way, just hit $1.99 a gallon. And within the next 12 months, we will have opened 1,600 new electrical generating plants, a record, and it's a record that won't be beaten by practically, I would say, by anybody.
Of course.
Or certainly not very soon. Prices on electricity and everything else will
Who didn't
fall
see
dramatically.
who saw that one coming?
The Democrat inflation disaster.
Greatest of all
again,
time.
the worst
Greatest
in
that
the
will ever
history
be.
of our
Will never be
country,
beaten.
Also robbed millions of Americans of home ownership and indeed the American dream. The yearly cost of a typical new mortgage increased by $15,000 under Democrat rule. In 11 months, we've already gotten that annual cost down by $3,000, and it's coming down a lot lower. Wait till you see. The numbers are going to be shocking. And I'll soon announce our next chairman of the Federal Reserve, someone who believes in lower interest rates by a lot, and mortgage payments will be coming down even further. Early the new year, and you will see this, in the new year, I will announce some of the most aggressive housing reform plans in American history. A major factor in driving up housing costs was the colossal border invasion. We have never been invaded. This is the worst thing that, frankly, in my opinion, the worst thing that the Biden administration did to our country is the invasion at the border.
I was hoping he would say in history, it's the worst thing that's ever happened. Worse than the Holocaust.
Taxpayer-funded housing.
Imagine.
While your rent and housing costs skyrocketed. Over 60% of growth in the rental market came from foreign migrants. At the same time, illegal aliens stole American jobs and flooded emergency rooms, getting free health care and education paid for by you, the American taxpayer. They also increased the cost of law enforcement by numbers so high that they are not even to be mentioned. For the first time in 50 years, we are now seeing
just rhetoric, man.
Migration as migrants go back home, leaving more housing and more jobs for Americans. In the year before my election, all net creation
even if that were true, which I have my doubts,
migrants.
It's just not enough.
100% of all net job
not even close
has gone to American-born citizens. 100%.
Dude, that's just not even remote. That's just not even remotely close to true, man.
Hardworking American citizen, or it serves those who break
that's not even close to fucking true.
And seek power
based on what
exactly?
exactly?
At the expense of our nation. Look at Minnesota, where Somalians
Dude,
have taken
Amazon
over the
and Microsoft
economics
just
of
laid
the
off a bunch
state
of people
and have
while
stolen
also filing
billions and
for
billions
more
of dollars
H-1Bs,
from Minnesota and
pledging
indeed from the
enormous
United States
multi-billion
of
dollar
America.
projects
We're
in
gonna put an
India.
end to it. For so long
What the fuck are you
as
talking
before
about?
my election,
100% of the
the
jobs
vast
went to
majority of
Americans.
good and decent Americans were
100% of
forced
the
to
new
watch
jobs.
as
What are you
corrupt
talking about?
politicians plundered the halls of power, exploited our taxpayers, and pillaged every system that makes civilized society function. But not anymore, and you see that every day, not anymore. We're putting America first, and we are making America great again. Very simple. We are making America great again. Tonight, after 11 months, our border is secure.
Okay.
Inflation is stopped. Wages are up. Prices are down. Our nation is strong. America is respected, and our country is back stronger than ever before.
Sounds
We're
like a
poised for
campaign
an
speech.
economic
Well,
boom the
apparently
likes
he
of
will be
which the world
campaigning
has never
next
seen.
year.
Soon we will host the World
According to
Cup
Susie
and the
Wiles,
Olympics, both of which I got.
that Trump
But
will be on the
most importantly,
campaign
we will
for
celebrate the 250th
next year
anniversary of the
for the midterms.
Declaration of Independence.
Like, bro, you're
There could
president.
be
Don't you have
no
more important things to
more
do?
fitting tribute to this epic
How many more of these
milestone
fucking
than to
weaves can we really
complete
put
the
up with at this
comeback of
point?
America that began just 1 year ago. When the world looks at us next year, let them see a nation that is loyal to its citizens, faithful to its workers, confident to its identity, certain to its destiny. and
Are we
the
confident in
envy
our
of the
identity?
entire
Seems like we're not. It
globe.
seems like there's a lot
We
of
are respected
disagreement on that.
again like we have never been respected before. To each and every one of you, have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. God
That's
bless
it?
you all.
Where's my war? Where's my war, damn it? I want the war. Bro, nothing ever happens, man. Dude, no way we just got fucking baited. There's no fucking way we just got baited into sitting through the most boring fucking bullshit. 20 minutes of the most boring fucking bullshit. We got. We got. Bro, no fucking shot. No shot. They just baited us like that. No fucking way, man. No fucking way. It was just a fucking, he was just slow stroking it the whole fucking time. What the fuck was that, man? The whole time I thought he was going somewhere with that. It was just, I'm the best. This is the greatest country. This is the greatest administration, maybe ever. Many are saying this. Are you serious? Yeah, Chud Jagrins should be happy. I mean, yeah, I guess it's a good thing, but we were all expecting this war. Hey, fuck you, Tucker. Remember, Tucker went on with Napolitano. Is it Napolitano? Napolitano? The Italian judge today, and said that he has insider knowledge that war will be declared. And then the speculation was it was going to be declared at this press conference. Okay. So everybody just got baited into watching this bullshit. Okay. Trump content sucks. Yeah, Tucker baited us. Yeah. Common Tucker L. Common Tucker L. You Nick tweet. You think Nick is a Fed? Are you trolling, Hawker? Tucker sucks. Yeah, he does suck. So Tucker lied? Yep, seems like it. Seems like it. Seems like it. That's crazy. Unusually high demand at pizza shops near the Pentagon tonight. Oh, they're going to be up late as they talk about the war. All right, man. Maybe they pushed off the announcement to tomorrow. Hey, maybe it's tomorrow, actually. I even saw that, what's his name? Gary the Numbers guy with his numerology bullshit saying, like, I told you war would be declared today. It was either the 13th or the 17th of December. Oh, yeah? I could pull that up. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, your fucking numerology shit. Yeah, you called it the 17th for going to war with Venezuela. Fucking here's your clown nose. Yeah, the intern running up to Trump right now saying you forgot the thing, that one thing. Oh, and one more thing. Yeah, imagine. They might have got the Candace too. Hawker, are you trolling me right now? No, dude, I don't. Look, yeah, Candace is suspect, but I mean, she's just a shameless fucking grifter. That's what she is. It's all she ever has been her entire career. She's a grifter. Have you ever heard Nick criticize the FBI or Mossad? Okay, you're trolling me. Is that Myron's manager and the numbers guy? Yeah, it is. It is his manager, which is really profoundly. Oh, I don't even. Look, man. How could you associate yourself with somebody like Gary, the numbers guy? He'll come back. Yeah, he'll come back on, for round 2. Well, that was a big nothing burger. Nothing ever happens. Nothing ever happens, Chud. Undefeated, bro. He's undefeated. I definitely don't believe none of this Fed slop you're hearing. About what? Fed slop about what? What are you talking about? Well, the me mum guy, yeah, look, me mum died in the holy.
See, what is this? Crying in an interview?
There were hundreds and hundreds of me mum died in the holly, right? Which is something that Fuentes had said subsequently.
Never heard that used.
Died in the holly, right? And there were hundreds and hundreds of me mum died in the holly, right? Which is something that Fuentes had said subsequently on one of his broadcasts.
Jesus. Okay. Well, let me see here. I've never heard that before. Okay. And
That's cook. Vivek crashing out 2 Christmases in a row is so funny. So true. So true, bro. GG33 is a ex-drug addict. He's not even that old. Heroin does a number on you. Yeah, he looks pretty fucking rough. I just thought he was like, just fat and old, but I don't know. The guy's a clown. It kind of seems like a State of the Union address. Dude, it's like every single one of his announcements, every single one of his speeches, it's like the same shit, man. It's all the same. It's all, I'm the greatest, I'm the best, the country's doing better than before, maybe better than it ever has been, according to many. Many are saying this. Who is saying this? Who is saying this? Nobody's saying this. It's all the same shit, man. Everything is doing amazing all the time, forever. Everything Trump touches, amazing, perfect. Can't criticize it. Everything that those dirty Democrats is evil and communist and shit. It's just predictable. It's the same spiel over and over and over again. It's so boring. It's so boring. If new password in the holly. My brother's jolly Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, everybody. A Trump speech was AI for sure. Trump barely took a breather. I don't think it was AI. I mean, guy was just fucking yapping. He loves to yap. That's not surprising at all. There's nothing new there. He loves to talk about how great he is. That's his favorite pastime. There was just... So, like, what was the purpose of that? Just to glaze himself in the administration? I guess to talk about the... What do you call it? The warrior fund or whatever for the million and a half service members are handing out $1776 to. Okay. He's talking about how they want to go after the health insurance providers. Okay, that sounds good. But let's actually see the results. Let's actually see what comes of that. You know, I want to see results. I don't care for we're thinking of doing this. We want to do this. We're planning on doing this. We're going to do this. Just okay. Well, let's see it. Yeah, the warrior dividend is what they called it. Okay. Definitely tired of Donald Trump's shtick, but I definitely agree it's way better than it was under genocide Joe Biden. I don't see how it's really any different, to be honest. Like, literally, or tangibly, is it really better? It seems pretty much about the same. In some ways, it's worse. And we'll say what you will, at least under Biden, the Democrats had to own this problem. Who bears the blame here? Trump and the right wing in general. So, and they've done nothing with the power that they've obtained. Have they used the power to go after the left? Certainly, these violent radical leftists, no. Have they gone after their political opponents? No. So what are we doing? We're just pissing off the left, and then when they inevitably win in 28 or 26 and probably 28, like they'll just like kill us. So I don't see how it's really better than Biden at all. What has really changed? The economy is in the fucking gutter still. And no matter how much you pretend like it's not, no matter how much Trump says it isn't, it is. You've got Americans are underemployed. It's worse than it was under Biden. And India is getting all of the new jobs and new investment is going to India. So even when you look at it through the lens of the economy is really not doing well. So what exactly is better? I mean, people are more pissed off. It seems like there's an uptick in political violence. The cities are still unlivable hellholes. What exactly has gotten better about the country? I just don't see it. Watch it again. It was AI compared to recent clips of him. I don't think it was AI. even if it were AI, does that really change anything? It's coming from the White House. I don't think it's AI. I mean, it was low energy. Like what I don't see how this was AI. Exactly. It was like typical fucking Yappersville. Ugh. I think Trump is ready to kick the ball back to the Democrats, though, and they will go full anti-white 100%. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Republicans are also anti-white. So they just pretend not to be. The funny thing is he said soldiers, which leaves out Marines, sailors, and airmen. Yeah. Should have chosen better words. I think we're going to get that homosexual from California as the next president. I don't know, maybe. We'll see. There's still a lot of time left. I don't really know who the Democrats are going to run. I mean, I think Newsom is probably, as of right now, the most likely candidate. Not sure who they would run instead at this point in time. The atheist for president. Yeah, I mean, is it really that much worse than Trump, though? Most of you guys don't know that Barack Obama's speechwriter was a feminist. Bro, everybody's a feminist. Dude, all these people are feminists, man. That's the red pill. I got a couple of Marine buddies. I know they're punching the air right now. Yeah, they're munching on their crayons extra hard. Feminist Jew was writing down all the words that were coming out of Barack Obama's mouth. Trump's speechwriter Darren Beatty is a Jew. Bro, all these people are feminists, man. That's the secret. Are they opposed to like strong, empowered women in politics or in the workforce? No, they're not. They're all in favor of that. If he said he were going to stop funding Israel and Ukraine, those would be the best things he could say, but he didn't. So it's way better. Joe Biden would have had all the military generals would be homosexuals now. Dude, they're still homosexuals now. Look at Pete Hegseth. The guy's a fucking goober. Like all the people that Trump has in his cabinet are just are incompetent goofballs. You know, it's so much like whataboutism, these like unverifiable claims that, oh, it would be worse under Biden. Who fucking cares? Who cares if it would be worse under Biden? Trump's president now and it sucks. So, oh, but it'd be worse under Biden. Yeah, okay. What does that have to do with anything though? Trump is president and he sucks and his cabinet sucks. How do we pin that on the Democrats exactly? Republicans have failed on pretty much every metric, at least according to their base. And somehow that is the Democrats' fault. Like, give me a break. Joe Biden would have brought in 10 million more non-white illegals already right now. The controlled opposition party is always better than the Jewish Communist Party. Well, that line of thinking is why you will lose. That line of thinking, hey, at least it's not. So they can just shit down your throat forever because there's always a worse alternative. That's not a really good place to be. As Trump fighting generals, Trump likes Moe's. Trump is helping the Dems win. He sucks. Yeah, he really does suck. Your boy Nick is only helping the Democrats win, to be honest. Dude, the Republicans are doing that themselves. Dude, if the Republicans were actually useful, if they actually did the things that we want them to do, there wouldn't be a problem. How is it Nick's fault exactly that Republicans are failing? I'm sorry, is Nick in the White House? Trump won. He won the presidency, have the House, have the Senate. Like, what exactly more do they require to get shit done? And they're failing. So far, it's been more jobs for H-1Bs. So far, it's been a distinct lack of deportations, fewer deportations than Obama. The economy is in the shitter, no matter how much Trump likes to pretend that it isn't. The debt is rapidly approaching 40 trillion. So how is this Nick's fault exactly? Always helping the Democrats. I think the Republicans have that. I think they've got that locked down, quite frankly. I don't think they need help when it comes to fucking over America and helping the Democrats. The Republicans are doing just fine on their own in that regard. I don't see how Nick is really helping at all. He spends all his time attacking, stirring up racism and attacking Republicans. Dude, because these people are not trustworthy. Does my camera like move up? These people are not trustworthy. Like, do you really think that you should support Republicans just because they're better than Democrats? That's how they trick you every single time, by just presenting a worse alternative. So these people will lie and they will cheat you, and they've done it time and time again. They give you nothing in return. But all they have to say is, well, at least we're not the Democrats. So then nothing will change. So this is why I'm starting to believe Nick is actually a Fed, even though I agree with what he's saying. Everything except for the Fed slap with the Kirk assassination, Nick is not helping any. Dude. Bro, come on. You got to be smarter than this. Okay, explain how Nick is a Fed exactly. Because I'll tell you, some of the biggest people calling him a Fed are literally fucking Feds. You understand that, right? Tucker is a Fed. He comes from his father was one of the biggest propagandists in the CIA. He ran Voice of America. He grew up down the street of the people that over. I feel like I've said this 1,000 times, but you look at Tucker, you look at Candace. Who is Candace exactly? She's a grifter her entire career. She got her start doxing her classmates, accusing of being racist. One of the websites she started, locals.com, that got, the CEO of that was an ex-IDF agent. She was the face of glorified banking. That got seed funding from Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel, who owns Palantir, is the private branch of the CIA. He has really two clients, the Mossad and the CIA, the Israeli government and the American government. Who's more likely to be a Fed? And not to mention Candace Owens, who's married to George Farmer. They got married 17 days after meeting on Zoom and never met before in person. And all of a sudden they're getting married. George Farmer, who's not even American, from the UK. His father is a big shot in the UK Parliament and runs this joint evangelical Christian Jewish coalition. That's who George Farmer's father is. And then Elon Musk, another big person pushing this Nick is a Fed accusation, himself is literally a Fed. He worked for the government. What is Doge exactly? What is SpaceX? He's a military defense contractor. He got his start with CIA funding from In-Q-Tel. He's a spook. He has a spook handler. He has his entire professional career almost. And he comes from the same milieu as Peter Thiel and these South Africans, the PayPal mafia. That's not suspicious at all to you? But Nick is the Fed? Why? Because he doesn't believe that what exactly? What is, why? Because he believes that Tyler Robinson is the killer? Okay, well, what is the more likely explanation? Present like an actual alternative explanation that is more plausible, that has more evidence in the official Fed narrative. Go ahead, present the evidence. You can have your suspicions about it, but until you actually make a case, I think clearly of the suspects of the evidence, it's clear it's pointing in one direction. I've been talking to liberals and they're really happy Nick has divided the Republican Party more than anybody. You will see what is getting worse about the country when they put Ilhan Omar in office next. Look, man, it's quite frankly, the Republican Party needs to be divided because the Republican Party is the party that's handing the keys of the castle to Israel. Straight up. You're getting mad at Nick more than you're getting mad at Republicans for just shilling for Israel. But Nick is calling it out. Think for a second. Think for 2 seconds. I think Trump fired Milley and the black dude, I forgot his name, Lloyd Austin. This is why you're rooting for Putin? No, don't root for Putin. We're not Russian. We don't fucking live in Russia. Why would you root for Putin? You might think Putin is an admirable leader or Russia is doing things that are in their interest, whatever. But you don't have to root for Putin. That's straight up foreign interference. What's up, Timothy Waterman? How's it going? The Dems are thanking Trump for their recent wins, not Nick. Yeah, it's Trump is literally the fucking president. Okay? He can just do shit, right? Why? How is all this Nick's fault that Trump is unpopular? Because he sucks and he's not doing anything. How is that Nick's fault? People are more mad that Nick is pointing out all of the failures of the Republican Party rather than being mad at the Republican Party for all of their failures. What? Why are we even talking politics if nothing matters? I never said nothing matters. A lot of people are drinking the Nick Fuentes Kool-Aid. Nick will never criticize the FBI or especially the Israeli Mossad. Dude, what the fuck are you talking about? Have you watched a single episode of Nick's show? He's never criticized the FBI or the Israeli Mossad. Were you red-pilled yesterday? Dude, are you kidding me right now? That's a joke. He criticized. Dude, there's no way you actually believe that. There's no way. You must literally be ignorant. I mean that literally. You must literally not know. You must not be familiar with Nick's position if you think that's true. Because he's criticized the FBI and the Mossad relentlessly over his career. Twitter is destroying Tucker right now. Yeah, fucking Tucker. George Farmer and Milo have American citizenship through their husbands. I see what you did there. Credibility in the gutter, yeah. You don't like Nick? There are a lot of people that don't like Nick, I guess. But I think at this point there are more people that like Nick, at least ostensibly, than don't. As soon as Nick said, I totally believe the FBI official story, I said this guy got. Dude, you are not listening to the evidence. Do you think first of all, do you think the FBI just lies about fucking everything? Is that how you think it works? Do you think if it were that simple, then why don't they just do reverse psychology? If they want people to believe something, then they'll just say the opposite and people will say, I don't trust the FBI. I'm going to take the opposite position. That's also retarded. No, I think, why attribute malice to what can be reasonably explained through incompetence? I think the investigation was very poorly handled. I think Kash Patel is an imbecile. I think it's filled with mediocrities, the FBI. They're dropping the ball. Just like they're dropping the ball with this shooter at Brown. There's a common trend here we're seeing. Nick isn't helping the conservative movement, but he's definitely helping get the Democrats reelected. We have to play 4D chess here. The deep state plays for the chess. Okay, you're not saying anything though. No, the problem is we can't be corralled back onto the plantation, back onto the GOP slot plantation. Do you really want like another Jeb Bush? That's what JD Vance is. He's like another Jeb Bush. He's just this other just nothing burger machination of the deep state. And that's the direction that the Republican Party is taking us. And they're saying, don't complain, that's dividing the party. It's like, yeah, that's not really our fucking fault. That's not really our problem. Our problem as Americans, like, what do we really care about? You shouldn't give a shit about the Republican Party if they don't serve your interests. And the problem right now is the Republican Party's not serving your interests. So forget the Republican Party. I agree, I hate the Republican Party too, but the Democrat is completely anti-white and pro-Jewish. Well, here's the thing. If the Republican Party can't win on their current platform, don't you think that necessitates a change of their platform? And that's what you're seeing because of Nick. You are seeing them. You're watching the Republican Party. Their rhetoric is changing. That the positions are changing because it has to, because it's unpopular to maintain their previous positions on things like immigration or on things like Israel. And you can thank Nick for that. He's done so much to crack these issues wide open. Anybody that is supporting the FBI story on Charlie Kirk is either very low IQ or a Fed. Okay, but okay. Do you just believe that everything is fake about the story? What is it about the official Fed story that you find problematic, let's say? Because that's just a stupid thing to say. Like anybody that believes it's the most compelling explanation based on the evidence. Ugh. Why am I rooting for Zelensky? I'm not rooting for Zelensky. Here's the thing, man. Think about this for 2 seconds. Okay, you don't think Trump and NATO are on the same side as Zelensky? If Trump really, if our State Department really wanted Zelensky, if they wanted the war ended, they would have fucking killed Zelensky a while ago. They would have wiped out the Ukrainian government. The fact of the matter is they want the war to go on, but they know it's unpopular. So they get, they do all these theatrics. They invite Zelensky in and they chastise him. They shit talk him to his face in this humiliation ritual. And they say, okay, off you go. And the war goes on. If our administration really wanted the war to end, they could end it tomorrow in a number of ways. They could cut off support for Ukraine entirely, no more funding, no more military aid, or they could straight up kill Zelensky. They could do another color revolution. There's a number of things our State Department has done and can do and has shown a willingness to do. And the fact that the war rages on goes to show that NATO wants the war to continue because it's a proxy war against Russia. So you should blame Trump for that. You should blame Trump and you should blame the Republicans. Not being pro-Zelensky, but at the same time, I'm not pro-Russia. I don't fucking live in Russia. Russia's not based. I think Russia's doing some admirable things, but how could you get PSYOP into supporting one of our competitors? We live in America. Don't forget that. You are American. Who does that really benefit by being a cheerleader for Putin? It benefits Putin, actually. Why are you rooting for Candace? Yeah, why are you rooting for Candace? Candace is retarded. What about the JFK evidence? Do you believe James? We're not talking about JFK. We're not. What does JFK have to do with Charlie Kirk? That's completely unrelated. I've studied the evidence. I don't believe a furry transsexual act alone at all. Charlie Kirk was not ever shot by a 30-06 either. Why? Because a redneck shot some meat in the fucking woods? That was convincing enough? Look, it's bizarre. And I covered it as it was happening. And I had my suspicions. But granted, there are plenty of examples given about how bullets act strangely when they hit the human body due to the differences in elasticity and in composition between your skin, your muscle fibers, and your bone and your cartilage. And so if you think about how the resultant forces will be unevenly applied to the projectile, especially a rotating projectile. Think about how if on one side of the bullet it's muscle mass, muscle tissue, and on the other it's bone. Think about how that can fuck with the trajectory of the bullet in a unpredictable way. So there have been plenty of instances, and especially, what was it, 400 or 200 or 400 feet? I don't remember exactly how far it was. And we don't know the ammunition. It could have been a hollow point. It could have been, underpowered. It could have been poor quality ammunition. Who knows? But just because a bullet behaves as expected through a piece of steel that has a consistent composition doesn't mean it'll behave identically when it hits a different target that has a different composition. So that doesn't suddenly mean that the story is fake. I would believe that Nick is a homosexual before I ever believed that furry lover cook out Charlie by himself. Dude, it's just like, why is it so ridiculous to believe? There was minimal security. The access to the rooftop was open. Anybody could have gone up there. And the FBI is incompetent because it's run by Kash Patel, that cross-eyed, bug-eyed freak with his Mossad honeypot girlfriend. Is it surprising? Is it surprising that if he didn't turn himself in, then he probably would have gotten away with it? And again, it's one thing to have your suspicions. Sure, there's suspicious things about the case I would love to know more about, but that doesn't prove that the official story is not true, or that the official story isn't the most likely explanation. It's all about probability, I suppose. What's the most likely explanation? So the FBI confiscated Nick's money after January 6th. He got put on the no-fly list. Yeah, that's not... typically the FBI don't put their informants on no-fly lists and confiscate their money and ban them on every major platform up until Elon Musk bought X. Nick wasn't allowed on Twitter. He's still not allowed on YouTube. He's not allowed to have a check mark on Twitter. Don't you think that if he were a Fed and his job was to psyop everybody, then he would be platformed everywhere? Kind of like how Tucker is platformed everywhere. Tucker is, and this happened seemingly overnight. Tucker became like the voice of the right-wing political movement. He became the loudest, most prominent voice in the MAGA sphere, like overnight. That's not suspicious, but a guy live streaming out of his living room is. That has no that got his money taken from him and was censored everywhere and investigated by the feds. Why does the stream say one person's watching it? I don't know. I'm not looking at that right now. The Democrat Party is not going to serve your interests. Yeah, everybody knows that. That doesn't mean that you should accept bullshit from Republicans just because they're marginally better than Democrats. That's how we incrementally lose. By just because we waste so much fucking time and energy supporting these people that are fakes, that are total frauds. That's why it's just not worth it. It's not worth it to support the Republican Party if they're not going to support you. Nick knows more about painting his nails than he knows about a 30-06. Oh, man. Anyway, you're not going to keep debating. This is just ridiculous. I don't trust the feds. I don't trust Erica. Nick is telling me that 2 + 2 = 16. Dude, it's not about trusting the feds. It's like, do you think it's that simple? Do you think like every single federal agent, they all have a meeting on Friday and say, okay, how are we going to trick the goy today? What's the latest psyop? Like, that's not how it works. Yeah, I don't trust the feds either. But like, do you think that like everything they say or do is just a blatant fabrication? That everything they say or do is just not real? You have to look at the evidence. He wasn't a shot with. So what will you say? Here's the thing. Okay, so look, when this court takes place, when the court proceedings take place, I think, I don't know when they're scheduled for. I think it's January. And they reveal the forensic evidence of the bullet. Will you say that you're wrong, or will you say that that's fake too? Because then consider how much has to be fake in order for your narrative to be true. Who's in on it? The coroner is in on it. All of TPUSA is in on it. The authorities, the feds, everybody's fucking in on it. Like, what is more likely, that it's this grand conspiracy theory, or that this deranged nut job, and we know there's a lot of them, just took it upon himself to shoot Charlie Kirk in the neck, and he was able to do so because there was no security? Which is more likely? This is a grand conspiracy theory involving all of these people, and it's a big cover-up. Who knows who's involved at this point? Or that it was just this lone nut job guy that's clearly got mental issues that shot Charlie Kirk in the neck because he's insane. Because we don't have insane asylums anymore. Because people are heavily over-medicated on SSRIs. And their brains have been hijacked by all the you know, like every like industry has like these sports psychologists or these industrial psychologists that try to make things as addicting and as appealing as possible, get people hooked on advertisements or on video games or on pornography or on gambling. Like, everyone's brains are completely fucking fried. You've got these freaks walking around and they're one bad day from just like snapping. If like they're like it's remarkable. Like, if like Starbucks were to like close shop tomorrow, if all of the coffee stores closed tomorrow, you know how many people would have like psychotic breakdowns because their thing was taken away from them? That's how close people are to the edge. I truly believe that. I really believe that. The point being, like, yeah, there's a mental health crisis in this country. We're seeing antisocial things happen all the time. People are getting shot up everywhere. And because it happens to a famous person, suddenly it's a conspiracy theory. Dude, like, was it a conspiracy theory when that billionaire got stabbed to death in I think it was it San Francisco or Portland a year or two ago? Was that a part of the conspiracy theory? So if everything is conspiracy, then nothing is. That couldn't make that shot. He couldn't take the gun apart and put it back together. He couldn't do it all. He didn't take the gun apart. That's the thing. He shot and then he ran off the roof with the gun intact. He did not take the gun apart. As a Fed assigned to keep an eye on Mello, I can tell you Nick is not a Fed. True. Thank you, Kumquat. Charlie Kirk assassination with the deep state operation was a JFK assassination and attempted Trump assassination. Okay, you're just like saying things. You're just connecting these things based on what like what's the evidence? Like what does JFK have to do with like just saying they're similar? Okay, are assassinations similar? But let's keep it topical. Like what does the Trump assassination have to do with the Charlie Kirk assassination exactly? What's the connection there? What's the most likely explanation? Israel did it. Okay, where's the evidence of that? Just because they like there's more evidence that they didn't do it because Charlie Kirk was their top guy. Charlie Kirk was like ride or die fucking Israel. He was an evangelical Christian. He celebrated the Sabbath on he was saying Shabbat Shalom, dude, to his wife and kids. He was writing a book on the Jewish faith. Israel killed Charlie Kirk? Doesn't seem likely. Don't have to prove the official story. The FBI will prove Tyler did it even though he wasn't even there. What about the footage? What about the... Okay. I just... Nicholas said January 6th and he didn't get arrested. He most likely a Fed. He also supports the FBI and Israel and Mossad 100%. What do you fucking talk? No, he does not. He literally condemns the Mossad. Like, what? How does that make any fucking sense? Nick is going out there. He's saying, yeah, don't talk to the feds. Don't trust the feds. He's saying he's red-pilled at this point. Millions of people that's not an exaggeration on Israel and the Mossad, but somehow he supports the Mossad. How does that make any sense? That makes no sense. And on January 6th, look, like what? Like a lot of people didn't get arrested on January 6th. Are they all feds? Is Alex Jones a Fed? He was there. Or all of the other, how many people were there? A couple 100,000? Are all of those people feds? Like, dude, give me a break. Nick could attack 1 million Democrats who spends his time attacking everybody on the right. Here's the thing, though. Everybody in the right already knows that the Democrats are the enemy. What they aren't aware of, not everybody, is who the enemies are in our own camp, because a traitor is way more dangerous to what we're trying to accomplish than a known entity. Politics is about, it's about who's on your side and who's opposed to you. It's about teams. It's about identity. You have to know who's on your side first. Otherwise, you'll just get stabbed in the back relentlessly. Look at what Trump is doing to us right now. Need I say more? Candace said evidence against Tyler will be revealed in May, but I don't see a fixed court date for trial. Look, at this point, Candace is just so full of shit. She's just trying to keep the ball rolling. Anyway, I hope you're right. I hope Nick is not afraid of the FBI or Mossad at all. I really hope Nick is that brave. I believe he is threatened. He would cave. Dude, they tried to fucking kill him. A guy came to his house and literally tried to kill him. He's been threatened by everyone and anyone under the sun at this point. He's been doxxed. I don't believe Nick has been in one fist fight in his life. But what does that have to do with anything? What is Trump doing with his mouth? What is the evidence that Tyler Robinson shot Charlie? The confession, the rifle, the video evidence. I mean, if you're familiar with the theory that you denounce, then you should know. You could drive down the street and a cop would play in a bag of cocaine in your car. Guess what? you would get convicted of being a cocaine dealer because they got evidence. Yeah, okay, but can you prove that they planted evidence here? You can raise doubt, but like if you can't prove that everything was fake, then what's more likely, that it was faked or that it wasn't fake, that it was real? If you can't prove, if you have no evidence that they planted all of this evidence, if you can't point to anything concretely, then what's more likely, that despite the fact that you have no evidence to the contrary, that they still, and this whole thing was faked, or that no, that in this case their explanation is the correct one? Even doofus Jaden McNeil didn't get arrested. He wisely stayed with Nick. Only TR Sarter and a top hat got arrested because he went inside. Oh, TR Sarter. Rip. You know who's making the most sense to you is Anomaly. Well, I don't know what he's been saying. Pizzagate is so baseless. All the proof is censored. How did Pizzagate enter this? How are we talking about Pizzagate now? Are you saying that the evidence that of a conspiracy about Charlie Kirk is censored? Because I haven't seen any of it get censored. Candace has talked about it freely for 3 months on her show on YouTube that gets like 150,000 live viewers. You think if she were getting close to the truth, don't you think they would have canceled her by now? Don't you think she'd be censored? It's almost like she's a red herring and she's leading everybody astray. Making people just like these like irrational schizos that can't think critically anymore. She's done incredible damage to politics in general. Not Pizzagate from 2016. Candace's slap. Pizzagate is real. Yeah, I believe in Pizzagate, if that's what you're asking. But yeah, Candace is a retard. Candace is dumb as shit, and we should just ignore everything she does. She's just... And she's like cooked people's brains. She's genuinely fried vulnerable people. Absolutely fried their like their rationality. I can prove that it's fake. I can prove it's impossible for 3 inches of neck flesh to stop a 30-06. So you have no case. Will you retract that statement when the forensics evidence comes out in the court and they have the bullet there? Or are you just going to claim that that's fake too? Is that fake? Because you still had no idea like what kind of bullet was fired even. Bullets do weird things, man. Like, it's the most likely outcome that the bullet goes straight through his neck, probably, but it's not the only possibility. You know, there have been reports of 30-06 and other calibers, for that matter, doing weird things, hitting somebody in the head and it ends up in their chest because of the way the bullet tumbles, because it's not perfectly symmetrical. And especially over a longer distance, that irregularity can worsen. And if it hits a body, all right, if it hits the target, especially at a certain angle, it can deflect downward or upward or in a direction that is unexpected. And if it's tumbling, then it's no longer traveling like this. Now it might be traveling like this. And so it's no longer as aerodynamic. And so it loses a vast majority of its penetrative power. So Most likely thing is Tyler Robinson is a complete patsy. Maybe he had something to do with the plot, but he didn't act alone, and Nick is completely wrong. Okay, based on what evidence, though? What evidence? Again, like, other than, well, a 30-06, well, it can. And there are a lot of people that agree with me. There are a lot of ballistics experts that agree that 30-06 can do weird things when it hits a human body. Nick didn't get arrested because he's cooperating? No, because he didn't get arrested because he didn't do anything. That's why. What did Nick do exactly? Can you explain, or do you not know? Are you just ignorant? Do you not know? What exactly would they arrest Nick for if he didn't do anything? And you can go and you can read the, it's all, you can read the public record. He pled the fifth the entire time. So how is he cooperating with the feds when he pled the fifth to all of their questions? You can literally go read the transcript for yourself. So no, he's not cooperating with the feds. That's proven. At least when it comes to January 6th, that's proven. That's all out there. You can look it up. And as far as January 6th itself, what exactly did he do wrong that they would arrest him for? So you're saying all these things, but it's like you don't know the facts. I had friends that got into drugs and they cooperated. That, I don't know this just has nothing to do with this. Why is Pizzagate covered up? Probably because it's true. I shouldn't say friends were just acquaintances. I wasn't listening to drugs, but I had friends that later got into them. Okay. I don't really know what that has to do with Nick. Anyway. Do you think James Earl Ray took out JFK and acted alone? What does that have to do with Charlie Kirk? JFK has nothing to do with Charlie Kirk. Like, I guess you just watched too much Candace, because Candace was trying to make the same argument. Literally, what the fuck does JFK have to do with any of this? I guess we'll finish this.
Engaged in the cover-up, because I've been investigating what happened on that day and what transpired thereafter. I've been clear. I've named those people on my show. I've said they are engaged in a cover-up, and I've listed the lies. So you don't have to try to make something out of what I didn't say. I tell you what I think. It's already controversial. We don't need to get more controversial, okay? Do I think someone at Turning Point pulled the trigger? No. Obviously, I don't think someone at Turning Point pulled the trigger. We don't even know who did pull the trigger. So how can I say that they're...
Did anybody at Turning Point, in your opinion, know that Charlie Kirk was going to be murdered?
There is specifically 2 people at Turning Point USA, and I have communicated that information to Erica and Justin Strife, that I would not be surprised if they had foreknowledge of Charlie Kirk being assassinated.
But do you have any evidence?
I'm not going to name. I am not going to name those people, okay? Because it's not right for me to name.
So then, what is she doing talking about it? She's not going to name names. She's not going to present any evidence. So why even mention it to your fucking audience then? The burden of proof falls on the accuser. So she's just going to make all these accusations and not back any of it up. Okay. Rare Piers Morgan W. Rare cucked by Mr. Suds W.
people until I know for a fact that they did.
Did you give the names Did you give the names to Erica?
Yes.
So
I absolutely did. I
you
said
gave the names to Erica of 2 employees, current employees at Turning Point, who you believe were involved in the preparation for the murder of Charlie Kirk. Is that what you're saying?
I told them that if I were in your shoes, these would be 2 employees that I would look further into. That's
And what
I
evidence
said.
do you have that they had any prior knowledge of the murder?
Because I don't have concrete evidence is the reason why I'm not naming them. So I've been
So you've got
responsible.
no
I'm
evidence,
not saying,
but you're telling the widow that these 2 people may have been involved in the murder. But you see the problem.
well, what the evidence for it is people that there is not concrete evidence. It's like you're trying to get me to say something that I never said and then asking me to defend it.
No,
I'm
I'm
not
asking
saying
what
it.
evidence
Let's
you've
actually
got.
go to. You're asking me privately. Did I communicate to them that I think you should look further? That's
Dude,
called.
she has nothing, man. She has fucking nothing. She has nothing, man. She's backtracking so hard because she's full of shit. If you lose against peers, you may be low IQ. Many are saying this. They would arrest Nick if he just showed up in the parking lot. On January... No, what are you talking about? On January 6th? So Nick is wrong. It's anybody's guess as to why he is wrong. Well, here's the thing. You're wrong. You're just declaring him wrong and you're not really disproving anything. I've explained to you why you're wrong. And I'm asking for your case for some evidence and you're just not presenting any. You maintain that Nick is somehow wrong or that he's a Fed or whatever. And I told you, like, both of your claims, you know, about January 6th and cooperating with the feds are not true. And I gave you the evidence as to why you are wrong on that. And I'm still waiting to hear the rebuttal. Everybody that's in prison for January 6th didn't really do anything, but they're really going to put all these nobodies in jail and let Nick just keep shooting off his mouth. Well, those people went into the fucking building. Okay? They went into the building. Nick never told anybody to go into the building. And the clip that they like to use, he's telling him to go further onto the lawn, which is an area open to the public. That people had already moved around the barriers onto. So there already were people on the lawn in front of the building. You have any explanation for that? What is Ian Carroll going to do without his girl boss? He's going to have electrocution theories. Yeah, Charlie Kirk was actually electrocuted. Yeah, totally. He was electrocuted. His neck just did that. Okay? He was actually killed by electrocution. Should we watch that? Let's just take a look. I'm actually curious. Like, how do you even make that case?
I know that.
Like, granted, I haven't seen it. Maybe he's making fun of it, but is this real?
Talk about Baron Coleman's new electrocution via microphone idea. Conspiracy theories are entering.
It's just like. Dude. Just because something is possible doesn't mean it's plausible or that it's even likely. If you study history, most of these pro-white movements have been infiltrated. Okay, yeah, that's true. But does that mean that Nick is a Fed? That doesn't mean Nick is a Fed. I promise you, dude, there are Feds posing as Groypers, 100%. 100%. You'd be naive to think otherwise. 1000%. Does that mean Nick himself is a Fed? Why is Nick always focused on Charlie Kirk anyway? Why is he defending the Fed position 24/7? Why is this the hill that he chooses to die on? Well, first of all, what do you mean he's always focused on Charlie Kirk? If anyone's focused on Charlie Kirk, it's like Ian Carroll and Candace. Nick talked about it in September and pretty much would talk about it whenever like a new retarded theory came out from one of these two, Ian or Candace. But so far, you keep asking all these rhetorical questions, but you're not really providing any evidence. Everybody's a Fed. Everybody is on trust. Everybody's just blatantly lying, right? Like, you understand, like, that's actually not likely. It's actually very unlikely that everybody is in on it. You understand how unlikely that is, right? The physician was a Fed too. Okay, like I just, why is this hill the hill that he chooses to die on? Maybe because it's these other like conspiracy theories are just like ridiculous, and that it's probably true that Tyler Robinson killed him. You ever think about that? That maybe the evidence leads you to the truth, and you should pursue that. Nick should say, I don't know anything about guns or Charlie Kirk, so I don't have an opinion. Well, he does know things about Charlie Kirk. Dude, first of all, you have a lot of people who don't know shit about guns as well that are weighing in. And Nick has said he's not a ballistics expert. He's deferred to ballistics experts that agree that, yeah, you know, weird things happen. You know, it's more prevalent in other calibers. Like 5.56 is especially known to tumble. This is something I knew a decade ago. That, yeah, like a 5.56, because it has a tendency to tumble. And I know it's not a 30-06, but this is an example. All kinds of reports of weird things happening. Hit him in the chest, ended up in his fucking pelvis. Because of the way bullets behave when they hit these inconsistent mediums. You're not providing any evidence that Nick is not a Fed. Dude, I just explained to you how he's not a Fed. Like, there's no way, man. There's no way. Like, I don't know what to tell you, bro. Like, I told you how on January 6th, he did nothing wrong. I told you how he pled the fifth to all of the FBI's questioning. There's the evidence. There's the fucking evidence. You think for yourself. I don't think you do, man. I really don't, because I'm hearing a lot of the same rhetoric that has just been proven false time and time again. Dude, this January 6th thing with Nick has been debunked literally years ago. If you actually did the research, you would find that. And you would find the record, the public record of him being questioned by the feds. And you would see that he pleads the fifth. So agree that Nick is brilliant, persuasive, but you don't have to agree with him on across the board on everything. Not only do you take his position on everything, but you mimic his exact talking points. Well, he's right. Like, and I don't agree with him on everything, but the way I look at it, Nick is being attacked from all angles by bad actors. So I just love that. I have to find things to disagree with Nick on for the sake of it. He makes very persuasive arguments. What does Nick think about the USS Liberty? Well, he thinks Israel did it. Israel proudly proclaims they control Trump. It's not a secret. Yeah, that's true. I just like what is the criticism of what exactly? Mimicking somebody's talking points. I mean, he's right. If he's right, he's right. Doesn't that matter? Don't people care on whether or not somebody's right? Oh, you agree with him. Okay. So, dude, he has the best track record. Who has a better track record than Nick when it comes to this political analysis? So if you're interested in being right, yeah, you're probably going to sound a lot like Nick. And if all you have is like, oh, well, Nick is a Fed, I'm just really not totally impressed, because we've been hearing this for years. It's been debunked. And for what purpose exactly? For what purpose? Or the Fed's employing? Let's say Nick is a Fed. For what purpose exactly? What is he there to do? Divide the Republican Party? I think Trump is doing a good job of doing that on his own. Did you ever think that maybe the Republican Party should be divided? Because it's filled with all of these traitors, these Israel firsters and neocons. Anybody that cooperates is going to get a cover story. Ah, yeah, very convenient. Very convenient. Nick has a cover story. That's it, because he cooperated. Of course. Okay, well, again, like, you have to present the evidence that he's a Fed. And so far, you haven't done that. If you can provide compelling evidence that Nick is actually a Fed, and not just one of these tired arguments that have been disproven several times, I'm very interested in hearing that. But so far, it's just speculation. It's just conjecture. You don't actually have any evidence. Well, the explanation for that is that he has a cover story. Okay, well, you're not really proving anything, are you? Dude, the fucking conspiracy theory shit is so retarded, it hurts, man.
There's so much evidence out there that even if less than 1% is true, that would be enough to collapse the current paradigm and change the whole planet.
That's the name of his show, Cancel Ian Carroll? Ian Carroll's never been canceled. Ian Carroll's never, he's streaming on fucking Twitch.
Was what I saw. And that's unfortunate. I'm really bummed that she feels that way. I'm bummed that happened. I think that when you get into the YouTube...
If Nick, with high IQ and not compromised, he would say this Charlie Kirk story sounds completely ridiculous. There's really nothing ridiculous about it, man.
Space, there's a lot of nuance to...
There's really nothing ridiculous about it.
And crediting people...
I can't help you, man. I think...
toes get stepped on, unfortunately.
I think you're cooked.
And I hope that there's no bad blood there. I hope that Barron can sort that out with Allie and can properly apologize if she feels slighted, whether or not that was his intention. Barron seems like an amazing guy, and I don't believe that his intention would be to steal someone's work or anything. I think there was some misunderstandings and miscommunications there. And they both were obviously contributing very thoroughly to that. That was very much like, let's not lose Allie Files' contribution to that work. But because she's a faceless account on Twitter, not a video podcaster on YouTube, it's very easy to forget that often the Anons on Twitter contribute the most. Often the Anons on Twitter are the unsung heroes of the whole thing.
Whatever.
And it is important to us when they uncover that, change that philosophy. It's you have so much more to offer them by just giving them a good shout out. And so, yeah, my understanding is that Barron is sorting that out and is giving credit, and he seems like a great guy to me. So that's the first layer. But apparently they are a thing. Just I'm seeing they are, and it's unfortunate that giving credit and he seems like a great guy to me. So that's the first layer. There is I'm hoping that they.
What is Nick doing? He's saying to trust the feds. Israel did nothing wrong. Okay, so you're just wrong on that. Literally, you're not telling the truth. You don't have to produce evidence. You're not a prosecutor. The burden of evidence falls on the accuser. If you're accusing Nick of being a Fed, you have to present the evidence. Is Hawker still being retarded? Yes. You can't just say shit without substance, without any evidence to back it up. You don't have to be a fucking attorney to understand this. This is just basic communication. And Nick is not saying to trust the feds. He's not saying Israel's done nothing wrong. He's just saying Israel did not do this. Like, do you think Israel's behind everything? Do you stub your toe and blame Israel? Like, you seem to have made up your mind first before you saw the evidence. And then you have the gall to call other people low IQ. Mel, I thought you were against the 30-6 official story. No, I'm not. If I get Kash Patel's job, I will produce the evidence. You also trust Kash Patel? Dude. I think I'm literally talking to a low IQ person right now. I don't know how else I can really explain it. It's not complicated. It's really not hard to understand. Nick's not a Fed. His Candace rants have been entertaining, but Candace could be 10% right and 90% bullshit and still be closer to the truth than the Tyler acted alone people. Where, based on what exactly? Based on what? What matters is what is true. Like, dude, I just, this is like just painful, man. I don't know. You understand, like, look, let's use your numbers. 10% right, but 90% BS. Do you understand how much that poisons the well? If you're just fucking wrong all the time, that is so irresponsible. You know, like, there was a time when all these like conspiracy theories, you know, they were grounded in truth. When we talk about 9/11, Israel likely playing a part in 9/11, there was evidence to suggest that that's true. The art students, the dancing Israelis, the clean break memo, who benefited from it? You know, you're not just pulling shit out of your ass. You're not just talking about like electrocuted, you know, electric microphones shocking people or trap doors or the palm pistol. You're not pulling shit out of your ass. And so what Candace is doing, knowingly or unknowingly, she's poisoning the well. She's making us all look fucking retarded just by proximity. And she's like frying people's brains to where they can't think critically anymore. They're entertaining any theory that their wildest imaginations can come up with, despite a lack of evidence suggesting that that's the likely explanation. It's just a total waste of time and energy. Like, you can have your doubts. This is how we should think about it. It's about likelihood. I think the most likely explanation, most likely, not saying, you know, it's 100% airtight, not saying there aren't suspicious things about it or things that I want to know more about. I think the most likely explanation is that Tyler Robinson was the shooter. And sure, there were suspicious things about it. I can admit that. I'm not here to defend the things that maybe are bizarre about it. But I think of the evidence that we have available to us at this point in time, the Tyler Robinson shooter theory is the most likely theory. So. And you're just saying you should think about it. You have to believe. I have thought about it. I've thought about it. I've thought about it extensively. Believe me, Nick doesn't focus on attacking these guys, though. He focuses on attacking conservatives all the time. Tucker, Candace, MTG, He seems like Israel's greatest asset. Okay. Here's the thing, and I've explained this before. First of all, if you're critical of Israel, then you should be critical of the GOP. You should be critical of these conservatives, because right now conservatives are carrying the most water for Israel. So just by your own logic, it makes sense to attack conservatives more than Democrats. But it's not just that. The problem is conservatives are in a greater position to screw you over as a conservative or somebody that's right wing because you think that they are on your side when they're not. So a traitor can do way more stabbing you in the back than the enemy that's in front of you. Does that make sense? It's not hard. It's really not hard to understand. You don't worship. Yeah, nobody worship. Like, I don't worship any of these people. Mark Levin and Ben Shapiro should both be deported. Yeah, they should. You miss Bob. You miss Bob a lot. Yeah, me too, man. Perhaps I judged him too harshly. Roseanne Barr never put America first. Yeah, she's evil. You think about him every stream, dude. I'm dying here, man. If Nick was right only 10% of the time, he would be destroyed and discredited. Reputation gone. True. True. So why is Candace Owens, like, how do people still defend her? If Nick was wrong, then he wouldn't have a following the way that, like, the reason why he blew up this year is because he was right. He was right about the Trump administration, and specifically, he was right about war with Iran. His generational started in June or over the summer. I don't remember actually the exact date. But when the fighting between Israel and Iran picked up, that is when his generational run began. That's the first time his stream broke 50,000 viewers. It might have been July. I can't even remember now anymore. It's kind of all a blur. That's why he's popular. It's really not just because he's charismatic or funny. There are a lot of people that are charismatic or funny. It's because he has a good track record. Because he's got the best political analysis. And people get like, all it takes is like one person to call like Nick a fed, and people just like, they don't like care about the evidence. They just glom onto that. They don't actually do research. So you believe Tucker and Candace are feds, but Nick isn't? I think they're far more likely to be feds than Nick. It's not even close. It's not even fucking close, dude. They're in a different ballpark. A completely different state, a different universe. Okay, Tucker's dad was literally in the CIA, and he wasn't just some foot soldier. Dude, I'm just repeating we're looping here. I don't know. If you don't understand what I'm saying, then you have no critical thinking skills, because seriously, who is more likely to be a fed? The guy whose father ran Voice of America? The guy who was fighting with the Contras in the 80s? Or some guy who, you can pretty much watch Nick's entire professional career, going back to high school. And it's been remarkably consistent. You can watch. So, yeah. Or there's this woman that grifted her entire career, married a foreigner, a very wealthy and influential foreigner. Like, give me a break. And leave Gogoon and come back and y'all are yapping for the same two things. Crazy. He asked you was Latino. So what? So what? So what? Bob is not sending his best. Bob is sending people from mental institutions and drug dealers. Dude, I'm telling you, man. Candace has really done just this whole, not just Candace, but Ian Carroll, all these conspirators are just absolutely like setting us back. People can't like, they don't know how to even think anymore. Their brains are fried. They don't trust the institutions. They went to these alternative sources, alternative media, in response to their distrust of the institutions. And now a lot of those people are being proven to be untrustworthy. Now they don't know what to fucking believe. People don't know how to think. Do you believe the FBI and Mossad would never lie or frame anybody? No, I don't believe that. But that doesn't prove anything. I don't watch Candace, she's irresponsible. I get it. And I watch Nick every night. I'm saying, we could say Addy K. You don't have to pair his thoughts on everything. Well, no one's asking you to do that. I'm not asking to do that. I don't agree with Nick on everything. But two things. Right, two things I would say to that. One, there is no shortage of people going up out there on their platform and saying, I disagree with Nick Fuentes on this. People have been doing that all the time. It's like, I just don't think it's really that pertinent, honestly. And I say that because the things I really disagree with Nick on are not really substantial. You know, maybe a matter of taste, maybe certain things, but the overall thrust of what he's doing, I completely agree with. I look at the big picture. I look at, no one's expecting you to agree with literally anybody on everything. There's nobody in this world that you will agree with on everything. So it's a moot point to bring up constantly. But I support the movement. I support what we're trying to do here. And so, like, ankle biting Nick or making all these, finding all these areas where you need to like disagree with Nick to just somehow prove you're an individual or something. I think that's really short-sighted. I think it's unnecessary. I think it's kind of silly if you feel compelled to do that. I don't really care about that. If he's right, he's right. That's why I watch Nick, because he has a very good track record. And on top of all the other reasons, right? He's funny and all that. And I believe in the movement. But if he didn't have a good track record, I wouldn't watch him. If he was wrong all the fucking time, yeah, I would have stopped watching a while ago. I think most people would have as well. Especially given the amount of pressure he's been under, it would have been very difficult for him to survive if he was wrong all the time. Because he doesn't have the institutions aiding in his credibility. The New York Times, for example, they can always retreat on their credentials. Just, whenever they get something wrong, oh, well, it happens. And maybe they blame it on the writer or some staff or whatever. They can always retreat to their prestige. Somebody like Nick, who is under that level of scrutiny, had no opportunity to do that. So when people said that Israel had something to do with 9/11, I thought they were crazy. Just like you think Candace is crazy when she says this official story about Charlie doesn't make any sense. No, it's not even that I think she's crazy. I just think she's just not honest. I think it's a grift, actually. I think she's lying. Maybe that's even like, maybe it's almost like she believes her own hype. I legitimately think she's not a very smart person. And you have to wonder if, are people feeding her bad information? Because she has this tipping line. You could give her tips and stuff. You send emails. So she talks about all these anonymous tips she's getting. An anonymous source sent me this, about the rooftop that the shooter was supposedly on, or anonymous source told me this from within the government. And so it really begs the question, okay, so if Candace is saying she doesn't trust anything, and these are her words, she doesn't trust anything coming out of the government, but she trusts this source that she has within the government, doesn't that just contradict her own claim? And how often does she really present her evidence transparently? Because you watch this saga unfold, and instead of this enormous information dump, like a 5-hour-long stream where she goes through everything, you're constantly being strung along. She's saying, well, maybe we'll reveal that next stream. Maybe we'll reveal more text messages, on tomorrow's show. Does that sound genuine to anybody? Does that sound like she's genuinely trying to get to the bottom of things? Or does that sound like she's clickbaiting and leaving, what do they call it? Cliffhanger endings to all of her shows. Get you to tune in tomorrow. It's a drama. So that's really why I don't like Candace. I think she's, and look, you want to talk about who Candace is, dude? She's made so much money off of Charlie Kirk's death over the past 3 months, dude. Just from AdSense alone. From AdSense alone, I mean, like she's racking like 2 million views every show. That's something I think, like conservatively, that's like $4,000 just from ad revenue on YouTube. Not to mention her other sponsorships or her membership programs or the merch she's selling or the super chats she's getting. So it's safe to say, just from YouTube ad revenue alone, she's made hundreds of thousands of dollars over the past 3 months. Talking about Charlie Kirk. So with that in mind, don't you think she has an ulterior motive to keep the money flowing? To keep all of these theories going, to string her audience along? And maybe now that she's potentially being faced with a defamation lawsuit, she's backpedaling because she knows that, yeah, she's full of shit. And that she very could end up in court over this stuff. So I think she has ulterior motive. Same thing for Ian Carroll. You know, he's making money off of this shit. He knows his audience. He knows his audience eats this shit up. So he's going to produce more of it. Not rocket science. And never forget, these people were not canceled. Ian Carroll's show, cancel Ian Carroll. He's never been canceled. He's streaming on fucking Twitch, dude. And it's look, now I'm streaming on Twitch, but I've got like 1 viewer on Twitch. Where he's monetized. He gets hundreds, if not thousands, of live viewers on Twitch. Never been banned on YouTube. I don't make money from YouTube. So Nick, on the other hand, banned from both platforms. Can't even get mentioned on Twitch. If somebody streams with Nick, they get banned on Twitch. So people spent 3 months on the grift with no real answer. Nick was going on Piers and other interviews and covering the takeover of media. Yeah, Nick had a lot of other things to talk about. And when I was your age, I thought I knew everything too. I thought everybody that disagreed with me was low IQ. I don't think I know everything. That's the difference. I don't claim to know everything. Never have. I'll admit I'm not a ballistics expert. You know, I know more than most. You know, I have a background in mechanical engineering and I like guns and ballistics, but I'm not an expert. You know, I didn't pull out the CAD software and model it out in real time. Or like any other real-time modeling software. No one will ever get the answer to Kirk, never the full truth. I mean, I think we'll see a lot out of this this court hearing. I think we'll see a lot. Because they can't reveal all the information they have because they're looking for an impartial jury. It's hard to do that if you put everything out into the world like that. So I think the most likely explanation is Charlie decided to stop promoting Israeli Hezbollah, so he was taken out. Well, I don't think so. I don't think that's the most likely. If you're talking about the Jewish donor, I mean, it's the reason why the money was diminished from that particular Jewish donor. It was down from like 2 million to 1 million. It's because it wasn't an election year. So it wasn't really as critical. But he was getting killed. Like Charlie Kirk was getting railed defending Israel all the time. I mean, yeah, he was frustrated, but he was. I sincerely doubt, and I had my suspicions, but you know, after seeing the evidence, after seeing everything unfold, I mean, you simply cannot ignore that he carried the water for Israel for years. And it seems like the speculation he was ready to flip was overblown. What if 30-6 was just planted to confuse and cause chaos? What if Ian and others tried to trap him because Ian is really pushing? I think that's part of it too. You know, if I were to be conspiratorial, I would say I think it's a little suspicious. Everybody wants Nick to join in on the conspiracy theory. when Nick is saying, or when Ian is saying, come on, you know, you're on the wrong side on this. We all agree except for you. It's like, that's weird. Why are you trying to consensus build here? What does that have to do with anything? I thought we should be looking at the evidence and try to be impartial. I do think part of it was to try and goad Nick into buying into it and then pull the rug out from under him. And then they would make the claim that, yeah, there is this schizophrenic anti-Semitism where people see Jews behind everything. Israel's behind literally everything ever, period. And that would then be the pretense for greater censorship or greater anti-Semitism laws. And so far, look, as time goes on, it just seems like Nick is continuing to be vindicated on his position. You know, who has more credibility now? 3 months after the shooting, Nick or Candace? Nick or Ian Carroll? So... that's another, yeah, the Rudyard bots, yeah. What's my Raising Cane's order? Yeah, very good. Right, as Nick would say, very good. It's the callback from the last 2 shows. Tucker had the #1 show in the entire country, and he was canceled. That wouldn't happen to a Fed. Canceled, I mean, he left Fox News, or they had a contractual dispute? Is that being canceled? Was he ever banned off of Twitter? Was he ever banned off of YouTube? I don't think so. Was he ever debanked, deplatformed? Would people get in trouble? And look, there are people that certainly don't like Tucker Carlson. A number of Jews, powerful Jews, don't like Tucker Carlson. But clearly he's not canceled. Yeah. I do have Kumquat on Twitch. Nick calls Candace a conspiratard. Mark Levin calls Nick a conspiratard. It's the same playbook. Yeah, except the context is completely different. Here's the thing. It's like, yeah, just because 2 people call other people conspiracy theories doesn't mean they're of equal validity. And that's like, come on, like really, come on. So like, if somebody calls another person an idiot, then the context, let's just ignore all the context. Every time somebody calls someone else an idiot, they're in the exact same, essentially, is what you're saying. Forget the evidence, right? Forget the subject matter. Those are irrelevant. What really matters is just the delivery, the messaging, right? That doesn't make any sense, man. You're right. Other than the Charlie Kirk issue, I agree with Nick on almost everything else. Well, there you go. And I'll be real for a second. It's like, so fair, right? Fair. And this might sound callous, but but understand what I'm saying. Compared to all of the other issues we're facing, how important is that issue to you, or whether or not you agree with somebody on that issue compared to the other issues? I'm specifically talking about the Charlie Kirk assassination. And it exists like within a larger, you know, the larger context of growing political violence. But to me, it's like, okay, there are bigger fish to fry, I think. Right? When we talk about the demographic replacement of America, when we talk about the Israeli or the Jewish, so let's just be specific, the Jewish stranglehold over our media, our society in general, government. You know, whether or not, and this, understand what I'm saying. To me, it seems like everybody else is dying on that hill, the Charlie Kirk hill. No pun intended. No, not to be glib or you know, to use that phrase glibly in relation to the assassination, but literally a lot of people seem to, they want to die on that hill. It's really not Nick that's dying on that hill. It's like everybody else. So that's the way I look at it. A lot of people are crashing out over that issue, which I think is funny because a lot of those people say like, oh, you know, it's like, oh, you just agree with Nick on everything. Disagree with Nick on one thing, they crash out. They say he's a Fed. I thought we're allowed to disagree with on things. I thought that was part of the. I thought that was part of the game. Like, right, you're allowed to disagree with people on things. But people have crashed out on Nick calling him a Fed because of this one thing. They agree with Nick on 99% of other things. It's like people are genuinely looking for someone that they agree with for that mythical 100% of the time. That just doesn't exist. So that's why I agree with Anomaly the most. He's saying everything that Nick is saying, but he's not attacking Tucker and Candace every day. He doesn't attack Nick either. I don't know too much about Anomaly, but he seems pretty cool. Yeah, the thing is, I think you have to. The reason why it's important to attack Tucker, first of all, and Candace, is because, for starters, I don't think they're good faith actors. I don't think they're who they say they are. At least Tucker isn't. But Candace, I think she hurts our credibility by osmosis because she's just throwing everything out there. And people tend to overlook that. They'll say, but she's being critical of Israel, so we should support her. It's like, no, we need to be right. That's the most important thing, is that we are telling the truth. That's why we're critical of Israel, not because we hate Israel just because. We're critical of Israel because it's true that they have overwhelming influence in our government and that we're not a sovereign country. That is true. That's why we're critical of Israel, among other things. But that's the thrust of it. Also, even if Nick is the smartest man in the United States, he can still be wrong. Well, yeah, I mean, and look, to his credit, he's admitted many times he's wrong. But you also have to understand too. I know this might sound like lazing, but let's just put things into context. You know, Nick needs to present confidence because he's under constant scrutiny and attack. If he, so much of it is an optics war. If he looks weak, even for a second, like, people would destroy him. You know, in a sense, he has to present his strongest side. You know, his most confident side. You can call it arrogance, you can call it whatever you want, but it's 100% true. He cannot present weakness whatsoever. And you might disagree with that strategy, but clearly it's working. It's worked. That's why he's on his generational run. It was all orchestrated. Candace and Erica were playing the game together to destroy Nick's credibility, trying to get him to say it was the Jews. Yeah, imagine. Imagine if Nick were left holding the bag, if he bought into that. They say that the white man, the white Christian devil, is behind everything. It's always cool to be anti-white, but it's never cool to be anti-Semitic. I've been saying this for over a decade. Wow. Yeah, I mean, everyone, it's not exactly a hot take. Everyone's kind of has clocked that at this point. Or when they say that Tyler was a groiper and Nick blamed them when it was his follower along, the Ian pushing felt weird to insist join or you're a Fed. Yeah, I don't like it. And I don't look, we want to talk about Ian's credibility. What's with Tucker too? What's with the bracelet? What's with the Kabbalah bracelet? You want to talk about occults? You want to talk about freaky shit? Talk about the bracelet. But that's not really the strongest piece of evidence, but it is bizarre, I'll say. But I feel kind of vindicated because I never liked Ian Carroll. Ben Shapiro said that facts don't care about your feelings, but when somebody criticized Ben, he got into his feelings. Yeah, Ben's cooked. He's a hypocrite, but they're all hypocrites, man. I mean, like, come on. That's why people, like, these people that are inconsistent, like Ben Shapiro, like Mark Levin, oh, rules for thee, but not for me. Like at this point, you don't even really have to debate with them anymore because their platform is diminished. Nobody takes Ben Shapiro seriously anymore because they've clocked him as a foreign interloper. So it's like, okay, it doesn't really matter. We don't have to really engage with Ben because he's not American. And because he's not American, he doesn't hold our interests at heart. And because he doesn't hold our interests at heart, he's not a good faith actor. Therefore, opinion discarded. We don't have to really talk. And we all want Nick to debate Ben. That would be a beatdown. But it probably won't happen. And it's really at this point kind of unnecessary. Everyone agrees with us. Everyone is like at least somewhat red-pilled on the JQ at this point. We just need to clean things up and focus it. You know, we need to focus, hone it in, make sure we get the record straight, and then find a way to manifest this energy politically. And that's and this is why Nick is the guy. That's why Nick he's at the center of all of it. Like seriously. You know, I just think it's so funny when people are like, "Oh, dude, I wish Uncle Adolf were here. He would set everything right. We need an Adolf of our own." And here comes Nick, on his generational run of like, but not like that. It's like, look, man, I don't know. You know, take solace in the fact that he's our guy, and I know I'm glazing, but it's true. He's very smart. He's very effective. And even if you disagree with some things, even if he gets certain, if he makes certain mistakes here or there, I think for the most part he's an honest. I very much believe I think he's a genuine person. I think he's a genuine actor. And I was watching a show last night, and it gave me pause because if you've been watching the show for a while, you'll know about Christine from Ohio. Very tragic, but she's been a regular on the show for years, regular super chatter, and she's been battling with cancer, and it's not looking good apparently. And last night, Nick gave a very heartfelt message to Christine, and again, this is somebody that he knows. And I just thought that was I don't know. I don't think Nick gets a lot of credit for all of the good things he's done, even just like in people's personal lives. People always attack him. They call him like a fake Christian. They always ignore the dozens of super chats that come in on a weekly basis of people thanking him for leading them back to the church or to Christ in the first place. People never give him credit for that. And I just have a hard time believing that he's just this nefarious actor. And look, and if he is, he is. But let's see the evidence that he is. And so far, I haven't seen any. And I'll say that about anybody. But I just don't see that evidence. Anyway. So I think, yeah. It really seems like Nick just has personal beef with Tucker and Candace, so he's going to disagree with anything they say. Well, a couple things. One, they attacked him first. They called him a Fed first, based on no evidence. It's this same thing that's just being repeated over and over. They're just speaking it. They're trying to speak it into like popularity. This is just true. Tucker worked with the Gray Zone to write a hit piece on Nick before they ever had an official correspondence with one another. So, yeah, I mean, if it's personal, it's because those two made it personal. Candace said, first of all, they both ducked him for years. They wouldn't They wouldn't bring him on their show. They wouldn't mention him. You know, Candace ripped a lot of his talking points and a lot of even his slogans, which, you know, granted weren't originally his, stuff like America First and like, Christ is King. But he definitely repopularized them in the modern day. And so she finally has Nick on after he starts his generational run. When he reaches the peak of popularity, he's unavoidable. She says it's not going to be an ambush, but it's an ambush. Asking him all these questions, it's combative, getting him to respond to all of these clips of controversial things he said. It's clearly antagonistic. And even if all of that aside, Candace deserves criticism because she's wrong and she's reckless, she's irresponsible. And I don't think she's telling the truth. So yeah, it probably is personal among all three of them at this point. But that doesn't mean that there isn't truth there, that there is like that. It doesn't mean that it's just personal. Did you notice Tucker defend Rupert Murdoch when Nick started going after him? I'm not buying Tucker and Murdoch are not friends. Plus, Murdoch was revenue sharing with Piers Uncensored Company. I do not remember specifically the Rupert Murdoch thing. But look, I mean, Tucker was on Fox for years. And look, if we're going to go down this line of thinking, and if Tucker is if he is a psyop, if that is his job, is to be a propagandist for the regime, which I think he is, I think he's a gatekeeper, then I think somewhere along the line they clocked that he would be more effective as an independent actor, as an independent podcaster, rather than having a big show on legacy media. Because people see him as more, they think it's more transparent that way. And there has been this market shift away from legacy media, more towards the influencers. Not only is it a lot cheaper for them to fly out an influencer for like take the initial like Epstein files release, the White House did. They flew out a bunch of these Twitter influencers, these conservative Twitter influencers for like what is comparatively like pennies on the dollar. And look at how many people bought into that. Look, we got the Epstein files. Here's libs of TikTok pulling up the Epstein binder that's more redacted than the leaks we got years ago. And so somewhere along the way that like there's it's this evolving landscape. They clocked that legacy media is not effective in the way that it used to be. And so not only are influencers, do they have another layer of plausible deniability, but they're also a lot cheaper. A lot of these influencers will do tricks on it for free. They'll do tricks on it if you fly them out to an event to make them feel special. Like they're part of the crowd. They're in the in crowd, And those influencers, they also develop parasocial relationships with their audience. And so people are much more likely to buy into them and believe them and follow them devoutly. At least more, closely than they would just some, media corporation conglomerate. So it's a noticeable shift in strategy, and I would be willing to bet that Tucker was a part of that, and that's why he reinvented himself away from being this New England Anglo-Saxon WASP type over to this more rustic, rural. I'm in here in my wood cabin with my flannel and my vest. He ditched the bow tie for the vest, and but never forget where he came from. He is part of that milieu. He's part of the elite, the East Coast elite. That is who he is, and he's been a broadcaster for 30 years. You put that in the context of who his father is. So he's been in like the propaganda wing of the government, of the whatever you want to call it, the regime, for pretty much his entire life. He's been immersed in it. And so I think that's probably part of it. And so now people they like Tucker because they think he's just like me. And instead of being in this like suit and tie in a like made up corporate set, it's like happening in he's posting a podcast in his living room. And credit where credit's due, I think it has been an effective shift just based on how we maintained its popularity. But yeah, I mean, I do think there's something more sophisticated going on. What's going on here? Anomaly, the Swedish CS dude? No, another anomaly. Legendary anomaly, right? Tucker will always be a gatekeeper of the managerial class. That seems to be his job. I don't believe the official story on JFK, 9/11 attempt on Donald Trump assassination or on the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Do you believe in the official explanation for anything? Is it even possible that the official explanation could be right? Status quo. Probably trust the FBI less than I trust the Israeli Mossad today. Okay. Nick attacks Candace, MTG, Tucker because they only go after Israel. Nick goes after their world bodies. Nick doesn't want a new superpower to rise up. Israeli interesting, huh? Is Tucker still rocking the Kabbalah bracelet? I seen a photo of him wearing that from like 15 years ago. No, there's one recently. Recently, not even just from 15, but like recently. I don't know if he still wears it. If he were smart, he would have taken it off because people were clocking him. Or like that time he was interviewing, remember when he interviewed, fuck, who's that? Who's the MMA fight? Conor McGregor in that Freemason Lodge? That's a little weird. That's weird. That's strange. I'm just asking questions, but really, that's, I don't even know if I've ever even like noticeably passed a Freemason Lodge, let alone ever had the desire to go in one. Don't really listen to Ian Carroll much. Good. Then Benedict Shapiro, I think it's Benjamin, would never debate Nick, and neither would that lunatic racial supremacist Mark Levin. Yeah, I doubt it. But who do you think is more cooked between the two of them right now? The boomers that watch Fox News all the time, the Sport Fox viewers or retirees? Who's more cooked between the two of them? Probably Ben Shapiro, because Ben Shapiro is a little more topical. Mark Levin had a radio show, different demographic. Ben Shapiro was much more popular among millennials. I think a lot more people know Ben Shapiro than Mark Levin. Asmongold's mother was watching Nick before Asmon. Very sad about Christine, but some of these old ladies are based. Yeah, it's true. Old ladies can be very based. Yeah. Nick is the GOAT, and I don't like or watch any conspiracy content. That said, I still think Charlie Kirk thing is enough of a question mark, and I wish legitimate journalists were investigating it. I guess. All right, fair. But what would that investigation look like? Where would that lead them exactly? Because I'll present a question like, what if there really is just nothing there? What if they're just, if all of these things really are just, grasping at straws? Charlie Kirk. Going back to Charlie Kirk, wait until everything comes out in court. Well, there you go. I think that's more reasonable. I'm glad we can agree on things. Yeah. More will come out, and you can only really make certain judgments based on the amount of information that you have. We don't have all of the information. We have some. And so for the time being, that's why I encourage everyone. This is true for literally anything. Based on the information you have, you can, to a certain degree of confidence, say, this is what I believe to be true. At least for now, at least on, with the information that I have, and that's for pretty much everything. That's how we operate. That's how we think. You got Javier Milei elected in Argentina. Tucker is nearly absolutely a handler. Yeah, I think Tucker represents a shift in strategy where they realized they couldn't censor Nick. He's broken containment. And so now they have to acknowledge Nick. So now they're going to you have people who sound like Nick that are parroting his talking points, but are trying to carefully corral people in a different direction because they have to make the concession that Nick is making a lot of sense. And so it's a shift in strategy. All of a sudden, Tucker isn't trying to assist in these hit pieces to attack Nick. Now he's saying, I understand Nick. I sat down with Nick. Tucker's trying to rebuild his credibility as like the Nick, whisperer or whatever. I understand Nick. I understand why people like Nick. Listen to me. Here's the truth. And so it's like they're trying to take, if Nick has an orbit, they're trying to slingshot off his orbit and take, redirect all that mass elsewhere. And if, God forbid, Nick were ever to get taken out, then very quickly, because this is what Tucker and many others are positioning themselves to be the alternative. And so then Tucker would absorb much of Nick's audience in the same way that, frankly, when Charlie died, Tucker, Candace, and Nick, and all these other conservative influencers, they absorbed much of Charlie Kirk's audience. Much of it is a matter of competition, but also, similarity in your competition, an alternative. So Tucker is sort of positioning himself as an alternative to Nick that sounds good enough. But as we know, that's not good enough in reality. I could see why Nick would not like Candace and Tucker, definitely. Yeah, frankly, I look at those two with just the utmost suspicion, to be honest. I don't like them at all. And to me, it's like, it's not enough just what people say. Really, at this point in time, when we're in the day and age where here's where we are. The game has shifted. It's shifted very quickly. The calculus has changed. The strategy has changed. They're trying a different approach. It's at the point where everyone's based now. Everyone is saying based things all the time. You got people going out there saying Christ is king, and people are saying America first, and they're talking about Israel or whatever. That's not enough, actually. And it's at the point where I don't care that much about what people say, in the sense that people can say whatever the hell they want, especially now that like everyone's just going out there and saying the most polemical stuff. It really matters who people are, who they're associated with, what their track record is. And a good example of this would be like that Fishback guy that's running for governor in Florida. He wants to take DeSantis' seat once his final term reaches its conclusion. And people are picking up, like, he came out, he's saying Christ is king. I won't disavow Nick Fuentes. It's America first. We got to go after H-1Bs. All these things that are very like popular among our camp right now. But people, and credit where credit's due, people have looked into his background. They've seen him glazing Barry Weiss. They've seen posts from him. He's Jewish, and saying that anti-Semitism is a terrible thing. He buying into the whole, anti-Semitism and pro-Israel rhetoric just like a year ago. And his explanation was, well, I fell into that trap too. That's not really good enough. It's one thing if you have a change of opinion, but he's going out there, he's meeting with and glazing Barry Weiss. He was glazing some other person, I forgot. some other mega Zionist billionaire. I could pull it up, but I don't want to derail my train of thought. And it's all just very suspect. It's all extremely suspect. And it's so, for that alone, it's just not good enough that you say all the right things. Because any person can identify that these ideas are now mainstream, they're now popular, and they will be a difference maker in the coming campaigns. Like, it doesn't take a genius to figure that out. And so you're seeing these opportunists come out of the woodwork already. And they'll say Christ is king. Like that was a tactical decision. That was a very conscious decision to say that. And so before people even knew really anything about him, Fishback that is, they were already jumping on board just based off of rhetoric. And it's like, this is how you get tricked again and again and again. Because how is this any different from the 2024 presidential election when they're holding signs up at the RNC saying mass deportations, no new wars, or the president of no new wars, right? He never actually made that promise. But you look at the people that Trump was aligning with, and all of them were pro H-1B, pro immigration. Many of them were pro war with Iran, like Mark Andreessen. So point is, it's not enough to just listen to the rhetoric because anybody can say whatever they want. And it's frustrating because it's like, this is like not complicated at all. Everybody knows that politicians lie. And it's like, but this one's saying stuff that I like. No shit. No shit, they're going to say stuff that you like and agree with. That's kind of the fucking point. If anything, you should be more suspicious. If they say stuff you don't like, okay, well, obviously they're, just at face value, they're not going to win your vote. But if they're saying stuff you do like, then you need to be suspicious. Then you need to do your due diligence. So. Otherwise, we'll get another Tea Party. We'll get another MAGA debacle, and we just don't have the time. We are getting fucking slaughtered here. It is a matter of life and death. White people are going extinct. The country is being flooded. The American empire is crumbling. We don't have the time to fuck around like this. We shouldn't want to waste time at all. So. Oh yeah, that is true. Yeah, Tucker is married to a Jew. That is true. Son is in JD Vance's office. And the rumor is that Tucker, among others, were really one of the ones pushing for JD Vance in the first place. So the rumor being, to take it a step further, that they told Trump, look, if you don't pick Vance, then the deep state will kill you. Which. At first, you might say that that's them giving him like heads up warning, but really that's more like a threat. Hey, we will kill you if you don't pick JD Vance. That's the way I interpret that, considering who Tucker is. In the Murdoch vein, Tucker went after Pat Buchanan using the same arguments he used on Nick, but it didn't work with Nick. He couldn't cancel Nick and had to bring him on his show. Yeah, the whole people forget that Tucker's not on our sides. He attacked Buchanan, saying that why is he bringing? He called him anti-Semitic. This is what was this in 99? In 1999, he went up on air with his stupid bow tie. Why is Pat Buchanan saying these things? It sounds kind of anti-Semitic. And this was in particular in response to, Buchanan's response, when his anti-war stance. He made a statement saying that the people dying in these wars, as he was critical of the neocon wars, they're going to have the different names than the people making the decisions to go to war. So anyway, JFK was Meyer Lansky and Jacob Rubenstein. Yeah, Jack Ruby. Buried with honors in Israel. He did it for his people. I will oppose Candace Tucker and Nick whenever they say something that I don't agree with. I also thought it was really crappy that Candace put her interview with Nick behind a paywall. How many shekels does Candace actually need? Well, she's a greedy bitch, man. Tucker is weird. His mom abandoned him at 6 years old and went to France and never saw Tucker again. Plus, the whole demon attack makes no sense. Yeah, that people just forgot about that. I feel like it's old news. But for those that don't know, like, Tucker told this story where he thought he was attacked by demons because he woke up with a bunch of scratch marks like all over his back or something, his shoulder. But he sleeps with his dogs in his bed. Like, so the first suspects, would that not just be your dogs? How do you know your dog didn't scratch you in the middle of the night? How do we even know this story is true? But it's just like, the fuck is that? Was this like a tactical decision to like try and like appeal to the more like spiritual right wing? Like, you know exactly what I'm talking about, right? Anyway, Tucker's views on Israel have changed. My views on Israel have changed too. I used to be a hardcore Zionist. Well, how do you know his views really changed on Israel? He only started talking about Israel when it became popular. Like, there's no reason. My point is, we've seen enough to the point where there's no reason to believe. Or how about this? There's less of a reason to believe that Tucker is being genuine. Finkelstein acknowledged Tucker was nowhere near as bad as Nick. It was odd. Do you know that Mark Levin had a regular show on Fox News? Yeah, I do, actually. I don't know who's watching. Like, I don't think there's anybody below the age of like 60 that watches Mark Levin. So he's just not as relevant as Ben Shapiro, even though Ben Shapiro's show is like in the gutter right now. Tucker Candace and Steve Bannon go after white identity. They push the Mooish idea that there will be a melting pot, Mooish, and a nation of universal principles. Yeah, they'll just never take it all the way there. Yeah, to Tucker, and here's why Tucker's not your ally. Even if you trust everything he says, that he's being genuine, he's still against identity politics. You understand why that's bad as a white person, right? Because nobody else is held to that same standard, but white people need to be against identity politics. It's like, okay, well, so let's just roll over and die then. If you want proof that Tucker's a Fed, he pushed Trump to choose JD Vance. Peter. Yeah, I just mentioned that. Still yapping about Nick. Yeah. Play Tarkov, rage over dying. Raging over low IQ takes is making me great stuff. You think it's bad for you? Another thing I don't like is I always hear Jews complaining about anti-Semitism. I never hear them complain about anti-whiteism. Well, hot take. Hot take alert. Hot take alert. In 1999, I would say Israel's our greatest ally. Well, yeah, look, it's one thing to like change your mind on something, but it's like, how many times is that going to happen? You know, like how many times is that going to happen before somebody's credibility is just completely tanked if you're just wrong about everything, you know? And that's, again, it's what you say and the takes you have is not the only factor in your credibility. You know, there's who you are, who you're associated with, maybe what money you take and from whom. Those are, in my opinion, actually way more important than just what you say. Like I said, people can say whatever the hell they want to get elected. And they do all the time. So Peter Thiel killed his boy toy Jeff Thomas just because he offended his husband. Matt, yeah, yes, yeah. Yeah, remember, because like his boy toy made like a big scene at this party that Thiel. I don't remember if he was hosting it or if he was just attending it. And so all of a sudden, like, he like fell over his balcony or whatever. Wow, that's bizarre. So like, he has a big crash out, falling out with this billionaire, you know, technocrat that thinks he's Antichrist, and all of a sudden he has an accident. He falls over his penthouse balcony. Unfortunate, I suppose. Did you see Clav saying that he got invited to that Teal event? Don't do it! I'm like, Walter White in the car yelling, you know? Yeah, come quiet. Nick is going live soon, so no gaming tonight. Dude, my fucking throat is killing me. Too much yapping, man. Too much. Ugh. Fuck. I need to drink more water. Are you not your own man? When do we stop being men? I want to watch his show. Does he have your balls? I want to watch his show. And I like, I'm not gonna stream myself watching his show. It's one thing if it's a collab, but it's another thing if it's like, I'm just stealing his content then. It's very uncouth. Yeah, I won't see as you want it now. Maybe some other day. Who was more based, Jew in Florida saying Christ is King, or Jack was open wearing an American flag bow tie and holding up a rosary? Well, they're both not based but for different reasons. I guess similar. Actually, I guess I take that. They're not both not based for very similar reasons actually, because it's like they're not genuine. I should say actually. Nick has zero chance of ever becoming a politician. Tucker does. I would say he has zero chance of becoming a politician, but I don't think that's the goal. You know, I think there are many ways for him to be effective. And I think for Nick, for him, quite simply, his goal is to get really qualified, intelligent people red-pilled and then get them into positions of power. So for Nick, and I think that this is what his foundation is aiming to do. Part of that is going to be to try and get people elected into Congress or elsewhere. Anyway, very productive stream, very informational. IQ highbrow. I love the conversations. Yeah, thanks, Kumquat. Thanks, man. Thanks. Go to apologize. We're all going to be watching Nick tonight. First time here, and though you're good AF pregame, and I usually hate streamers, keep grinding. Oh, thanks, man. Appreciate that. Yeah, yeah, well, look, like I said, I don't want to rip his content, and we're all gonna be watching. But I appreciate the word, the support, the words of encouragement. Tough out here, So yeah, I'm not gonna lie. This stream kind of gave me a headache, though. It kind of gave me a fucking headache. You free Mexican? Oh, it's starting already. Okay, well, take it easy.
My name is Nicholas J. Fuentes.
Take it easy, guys.
Great show for you tonight. Very excited to be back here with you.
Take it easy, guys. Go watch Nick. I'll catch you guys all next time. I'll see you guys all tomorrow. Take it easy.
Our featured story, we're talking all about this primetime address.